Mom saw me wandering around all day refusing to study, yet she directly transferred $10 billion to me. She demanded that I bring a girlfriend home to meet her within 3 years. But what she didn't expect was that the very next day I had already brought the school's cold and aloof beauty to our doorstep. What's more, she was holding a little girl in her arms. The girl, who looked 80 to 90% like me, shouted out loud, "Grandma, I miss you so much." Seeing this, my mom was completely stunned, while I stood there looking incredibly embarrassed. "Mom, you probably won't believe this, but this is our biological daughter. Traveled back through time from the future. 3 months ago, not even 2.5 seconds after I stepped out of my door, a little girl, as cute as a doll, ran up to me. 'Dad, I finally found you, Dad.'" Hearing that, I was completely dazed. I quickly knelt down to look at her and asked, "Little girl, are you lost? Did you lose your parents? How about I take you home?" To my surprise, she looked at me with a puzzled face. "Dad, what are you saying? Jiang Yao doesn't understand." Hearing that, I felt a chill run down my spine. I'm just a pure 18-year-old high school boy. Why would an 8 or 9-year-old girl run up and call me dad? I thought for a moment and continued, "Do you miss your dad? Let me take you to find your father, okay? But you are my dad. You are Jiang Yao's dad." Saying that, the little girl pouted, looking aggrieved. She spread her arms wide, wanting to leap into my embrace, but I instinctively dodged, causing her to lunge into thin air. The little girl's eyes immediately turned red. "Before, you loved hugging me the most and lifting me up high. What's wrong with you today, Dad? Don't you want Jiang Yao anymore?" Thinking that, she felt even more hurt. Tears began to stream down her face uncontrollably. Seeing this, I panicked. "Don't cry, please don't cry. Little girl, did you hear what I said?" She started sobbing even harder. "You used to call me your darling Jiang Yao, boo-hoo. I'm going to find Mom and tell her to make you kneel on the washboard." Lines of frustration appeared on my face. "Jiang Yao, right? I'm really not your father, but I have a picture." The little girl, while still crying, pulled a photograph out of the backpack on her back. I took the photo with a sense of helplessness, but after seeing the people in it, I was instantly stunned. It was an old family photo of 3 people. In the photo, Jiang Yao was being held by a man who looked 90% like me, cuddled in his arms, and beside them was an incredibly beautiful woman. She looked a bit familiar, but I couldn't quite remember where I had seen her before. After 2.5 seconds, Jiang Yao, standing beside me, pouted and said, "I have this photo from when I was 5. You can't pretend not to recognize Jiang Yao anymore, can you?" I snapped back to my senses. My eyes kept scanning Jiang Yao's face. I had to admit, this little girl really did look a lot like me. Then, I took a deep breath. I questioned her about everything, including her family history. Her father's name was naturally mine, and when I heard Jiang Yao say her mother's name was Xia Qingone, I was dazed once again. No wonder that woman looked so familiar at first glance. I thought I had seen her before. Turns out she's the white moonlight of every single boy in our school, but the problem is I don't know her at all. Xia Qingone is in the elite class, while I'm in the regular class. High school graduation is just around the corner, and I've never even spoken a word to the famous beauty, Ms. Xia. At that moment, Jiang Yao suddenly grabbed my sleeve with her small hand. "Dad, please take me to find Mom. I haven't seen Mom for days. I miss her so much." I didn't answer her. Instead, I just frowned and looked at her. Even though I have now vaguely accepted this reality, why is Jiang Yao here? Is it really time travel? Jiang Yao also frowned when she heard my question. "I don't know. Jiang Yao just woke up and was already here." Fine, if it's truly time travel. I don't expect a little girl to be able to explain it clearly. Besides, the easiest way is to get a paternity test. Just then, Jiang Dao's stomach suddenly made a grumbling sound. She instinctively rubbed her tiny, flat tummy. "Dad, I'm so hungry." Hearing that, I had no choice but to take her back to my rented room. Since it was probably her first time in a new environment, Jiang Yao hopped around, curiously observing everything. But soon after, she asked, "Dad, why aren't you living with Mom? Clearly before, you two used to sleep together every night. Did you guys have a fight?" I stayed silent and walked into the kitchen alone. I planned to cook a simple bowl of egg noodles for the child. 2 minutes later, Jiang Yao was holding a bowl even bigger than her face sitting at the table. She must have been truly hungry. Her cheeks puffed out like a pufferfish. While she was busy, I searched online for a bit. The cost for paternity testing centers was indeed a bit beyond what I could afford. After eating, Jiang Yao insisted on finding her mom. I immediately felt awkward, because Xia Qingone is the universally acknowledged cold beauty. I didn't have her contact information. Besides, even if I did, what would I say? Tell her, "This is your daughter and you are my future wife." I'd definitely be called a lunatic and get slapped twice. At this moment, Jiang Yao tilted her head and asked, "Dad, did you really have a fight with Mom?" I nervously asked her, "Did Mom and Dad fight often before?" Jiang Yao shook her head. "No, Not at all. You and Mom were so in love. Besides, even if you did fight, you would quickly go and kneel on the washboard, and Mom would stop being angry immediately. Hearing this, I couldn't help but feel both happy and worried. While the marriage sounded very happy, it seems like I might be a bit henpecked. If Jiang Yao really did travel back from the future, then this is quite a complicated situation. Finding the child's mother is indeed the most urgent task. Thinking thus, I rubbed her head, borrowed her family photo, and prepared to go on a search for the rumored cold beauty, Xia Qingone. Then I called my mom while I was walking. Mom, drop some cash for me. An impatient voice replied, just 2 days ago. Didn't I just transfer 2,000 to you? Are you some kind of money-eating monster? Jiang Yao blinked her large eyes. Dad, is that Grandma? I miss Grandma so much too. My mom immediately grew suspicious. What was that noise? I think I heard a child's voice. I was silent for a moment, then said, Mom, there's something I don't know how to tell you. It seems you're about to become a grandmother. There was a long silence on the other end, and the sound of glass shattering was heard. You little brat, what did you say? Say that again. Who did you get pregnant? How many months along is she? I rubbed my nose. The child is already 8 years old. Another long silence followed, and after a while, Lin Hui's cold voice came through. Do you take me for a fool? I don't know. Just transfer the money. Once you send it, you won't look like one anymore. Go to hell. Stop playing around. With that, Lin Hui decisively hung up. Immediately after, I received a 1,000 yuan transfer from her. Since I had school in the afternoon, I had to leave Jiang Yao at home by herself. 1:30 p.m., I went to Xia Qingwone's classroom. Hey, is Xia Qingone here? A boy looked around and shook his head. She's not here. I paused and then asked, then where does she sit? I have something to give her. Hearing that, the boy's gaze suddenly became a bit strange. After 2.5 seconds of hesitation, he pointed to his seat. I thanked him, then walked straight over to Xia Qingwone's desk. Her desk was kept very tidy, clearly the workspace of a diligent top student. I tucked the photo under her pen holder, then tore a piece of scratch paper to write down my name and class. With that done, I left quickly, ignoring the classmates who were staring at me with confused looks. Anyway, as long as I don't feel embarrassed, I'm invincible. It was soon time for afternoon dismissal. My best friend Chen Hao came up holding a basketball. Jiang Haochen, let's go play some hoops. I didn't look up, still busy organizing my incorrect test answers. Can't go. Don't disturb your old man while I study for the top-tier university exam. Chen Hao rolled his eyes. Grades are about the same as mine. 2.5 years have passed, and you're still hovering at the base admission line. Do you plan to ascend to heaven in these last 4 months? Just as he was about to say more, we suddenly heard someone looking for me. Is Jiang Haochen here? Ah, there. The guy in the back corner of the class. Hearing that, I looked up and saw a familiar face standing at the door. Chen Hao's gaze instantly fixed on me. No way, man. What did you drink today? To be this drunk? I must say, the moment I saw Xia Qingone in the flesh, I confirmed one truth. If the photo was real, she was indeed the woman in the photograph. Jiang Haochen, come outside for a moment. I have something to say to you. Xia Qingwone's voice was clear, but it carried an underlying trace of anger. A few minutes later, I followed her to a quiet, secluded corner. She tried to calm her emotions and spoke up. Jiang Haochen, I don't think we know each other at all, right? Where did this photo come from? Please give me an explanation. She knew she was beautiful. Every day, people would secretly send her love letters. But this was the first time someone had given her a family photo. In a split second, she was captivated by the woman in the photo. The woman's face and figure looked more mature, and she had a gentle smile on her face, one she herself had never possessed. But inside Xia Qingwone's heart, she couldn't help but think, that's me. Then she involuntarily began to observe the little girl and the man in the photo. The man was a stranger to her, though she thought he looked like a very pleasant gentleman. But the little girl, full as a doll, why did she make her heart flutter so much? Was it a photoshopped image? Even though deep down Xia Qingone felt this was an extremely malicious prank. She spent the entire afternoon in a daze. I coughed slightly twice and pointed at the photo in her hand. I know you probably won't believe this, but this girl calls me Dad, and she said her mother's name is Xia Qingone. Hearing that, the cold beauty instinctively opened her mouth in shock. Is the pressure of 12th grade getting to you? How long has this been going on? Ms. Xia, you're quite polite, but there is absolutely nothing wrong with my mental state. Xia Qingone was stunned. She actually felt like I wasn't lying. Perhaps my eyes were just too sincere, or maybe the 3 people in that photo troubled her too much. She picked up the photo again to look closer. The boy in it looked almost exactly like me, except that I look a little younger now. Seeing this, I spoke patiently. I didn't believe it at first either, but Jiang Yao gave this photo to me. When you meet the child, maybe you'll think differently. I don't believe it. A photo proves nothing. Hearing Xia Qingwone's voice turn cold again, I also felt a headache coming on. Then can you wait for me at school for a bit? Believe it or not, just meet her once. Xia Qingone didn't respond, likely still lost in her confusion. Seeing that, I didn't say much more. just put on my backpack and left the school. 20 minutes later, I returned with Jiang Yao in tow. Xia Qingone was still standing in the same spot. The moment she saw the little girl, she suddenly fell into a state of panic. Then she hesitantly stepped back 2 paces, but she couldn't bring herself to tear her eyes away from the little one. Mommy! Jiang Gao's eyes sparkled instantly. She opened her arms and lunged towards Xia Qingone. I'm not your mother, Xia Qingone tried to dodge, but she was already tightly hugged by the girl. With her long, straight legs, that warm little face looked up at her with pure joy. Mommy, why are you so pretty today? Xia Qingwane's whole body stiffened. She looked at me for help, only to find me standing far away. Seeing no other way, she knelt down and looked at Jiang Yao. Little one, I am not your mother, but you are my mother. Jiang Yao didn't understand. Why had both her dad and mom suddenly stopped recognizing her? In her distress, she immediately turned into a little crybaby. Tears began to pour down like rain. Xia Qingone felt a sharp pang in her heart. She clumsily used her hands to wipe the girl's face. Don't cry, please don't cry. Only now did she understand what I had meant. That meeting her once would change everything, what it really meant. Half an hour later, Xia Qingone and I were sitting in a bakery. Jiang Yao sat next to me, eating a sweet cake. Her short little legs were swinging back and forth. This scene made both Xia Qingone and me feel like our hearts were melting. It took us a while to snap out of it. I spoke up hesitantly. Look, I just call you Qingwane directly. Xia Qingwane tried to maintain her composure. She softly replied, sure. I took a sip of lemonade to clear my throat. I think we should settle this quickly. I mean, we should do a paternity test for Jiang Yao. Xia Qingwane naturally had no objection. But if the result is positive, what then? I don't know, I answered honestly. 2 high schoolers have no way of raising a child. Not to mention we're currently in the middle of the crucial final stretch before the college entrance exam. The little girl suddenly asked innocently, Mommy, please stop being mad at Daddy. Can we all go home together? Please? What? Xia Qingwane looked at me in shock. I scratched my head helplessly and explained, she thinks you're not coming home because we had a fight. I didn't know how to explain it, so I just let her believe that. Xia Qingwane accepted this explanation. She thought for a moment, her fingers tightening slightly around the lemonade glass. Right, the cost for the test. Hearing that, I placed my phone on the table. It's about 2,000 yuan in total. I think we should split the cost. Xia Qingwane hesitated. I'm sorry, but things are a bit tight for me right now. I don't have much allowance. Seeing this, I decided I would pay for it first. She could pay me back when she was able. Anyway, Mom had just given me 1,000. It would be just enough. Thank you. I'll pay you back as soon as I can. But hearing her words, Jiang Yao tilted her head in confusion. Mommy, you're talking so strangely. You're the one who manages all the money at home. Why do you suddenly have to give money to Daddy? Only then did Xia Qingwane and I remember a certain detail we had overlooked, and that was, the 2 of us are very likely husband and wife in the future. Xia Qingwane turned away, her face flushing red. She didn't know how to respond to the little girl. There was no connection between her and Jiang Haochen in high school. How could they end up getting married? I was also curious. Jiang Yao, do you know how Mommy and Daddy got together? Was it a blind date or something? Jiang Yao knitted her small brows. Jiang Yao doesn't understand. It's just that Daddy and Mommy sometimes argue about who liked who first, so it wasn't a blind date, but a journey from love to the wedding altar. And besides, do you call that arguing? That's just showing off their love in front of the kid. Thinking about that scenario, Xia Qingwane felt her scalp tingle. She truly couldn't imagine herself one day becoming like the woman in the photo, smiling so gently and happily. Stopping her thoughts, she awkwardly checked her watch. I have to go back now. I can't stay out too late. Jiang Haochen, please let me know as soon as the results are out. With that, Xia Qingwane took out her phone. Let's add each other on WeChat. Contact me directly if anything happens. After adding him on WeChat, Xia Qingwane prepared to leave. Her gaze lingered on Jiang Dao's face once more. Jiang Yao suddenly felt the cake in her hand didn't taste good anymore. Mommy, aren't you coming home with us? Do you not like Jiang Yao anymore? I rubbed the girl's head. How could that be? Mommy has something very important to do. Jiang Yao, be a good girl, okay? Hearing this, Xia Qingwane's footsteps faltered. Then she picked up her backpack and quietly made her escape. The results of the expedited paternity test came back quickly. At around 9 p.m. that night, I received 2 reports on WeChat. Professional testing agencies showed that the probability of paternity between us and Jiang Yao reached 99.99%. In other words, Jiang Yao is indeed our daughter. After seeing my message, Xia Qingwane finally gave up all hope. She accepted the fact that her daughter had traveled from the future. I sent another message, now what? You're Jiang Yao's father. You're asking me. I quickly typed back, "Do you plan to be an irresponsible, bad woman? Don't talk nonsense." After typing those 3 words, Xia Qingone looked at her blank exam paper. With a bit of a headache, she hadn't been able to write a single word all night. Her mind was completely filled with images of that illegally adorable little girl. She thought about my innocent-looking face. What are they doing right now? At that thought, Xia Qingone gave her cheeks a firm slap. Then she stood up and left her room. Standing at her bedroom door, she hesitated for a long time before speaking. "Dad." "Qingwane, what's wrong?" Xia Qingone turned down the TV volume a bit. Xia Qingone bit her lip. "Dad, could you give me a bit more allowance? About 1,000 yuan. However, as soon as she finished her sentence, her stepmother's voice came from the kitchen. "What do you need that much money for? You come home to eat every day, and you're never even out. Where are you planning to spend 1,000 yuan? Qingone, don't you dare give it to her. This is the most critical stage of high school. She needs to keep her mind on her studies." Xia Qingone didn't know how to explain. She remained silent, stubbornly standing there with her head bowed. "Qingwane, don't mind your mother. Go back to your room and wait for a moment." Xia Qingone lowered his voice. "I'll bring it to you in a bit." Qingwane didn't want to stay in the living room for long. She lowered her eyes and returned to her room. She stared blankly at the test paper in front of her. For some reason, she couldn't write a single word. 10 minutes later, Xia Qingone knocked on the door and walked in with a stack of bills. Xia Qingone quickly stood up. "Dad, I'm sorry. It's okay. If it's not enough, you must let me know." Xia Qingone smiled. "Qingwane is a young woman now. If you see a pretty dress you like, don't hesitate to buy it." Xia Qingone didn't know what else to say. She gave a quiet nod and reached out to take the money. Xia Qingone smiled and was about to offer some more kind words when Qingwane's stepsister shouted from the next room, "Dad, Mom, that doll I bought yesterday with my friend, where did you guys put it?" Hearing this, Xia Qingone hurried out. "I think it's in the cabinet. Go look for it yourself." Next, the sounds of the stepsister's whining came from the other room, followed by her father's somewhat helpless but deeply doting voice. Xia Qingone lowered her eyes. When she was little, she used to talk to him in this exact tone as well. But ever since her mother passed away and her father found a new woman, everything has changed. Xia Qingone shook her head, quickly taking the 1,000 yuan and carefully tucking it into her bag. Then she picked up her phone to message me. "What are you two doing over there?" A long time passed with no reply. It wasn't until past 10 p.m. that I finally replied to the message. "Jiang Yao and I are strolling through the mall, buying her some new clothes," with a photo attached below. Xia Qingone clicked to view it. It was Jiang Yao wearing white rabbit pajamas. The little girl was smiling radiantly, like a mischievous little elf. Xia Qingone hugged her phone, feeling the slight gloom in her heart immediately begin to dissipate. Then the phone pinged again. She tapped to open it and listened. Then Jiang Yao's sweet voice from the phone rang out. "Mommy, I'm a little bunny now. Isn't it super cute?" Xia Qingone listened to it over and over again. "So Jiang Yao really is my future daughter." Xia Qingone pursed her delicate red lips, bowed her head to type a reply. Beyond adorable. After we finished shopping, I took the little girl home, looking at the many bags in my hands, then checking my bank balance. To be honest, Jiang Yao is truly well-behaved and sweet, but she has one flaw. She must have been raised in a very high-end environment, just like a proper little princess. Whenever she sees something beautiful that she likes, she'll grab my hand and act spoiled until I buy it for her. Thinking this, I hung my coat on the rack and casually asked, "Hey Jiang Yao, how big is the place where you usually live? Is it wider than this?" Jiang Yao scanned her surroundings for a moment. "This place is probably only as big as the bathroom back home." My eyes lit up at that. "All right, now I am absolutely certain. My future career will be incredibly successful, and I'll be a total daughter-obsessed father, the type who'd pluck the stars and moon just to please her. But right now, I'm just a dirt-poor high school student. And besides, Xia Qingone doesn't exactly look like a wealthy heiress from a stinking rich family either. Little lady, we're in big trouble now. Raising a child costs a fortune, you know. Thinking about my balance gives me a massive headache. Where's the system? My daughter has time traveled back here. Isn't there a hope father becomes a dragon system?" I looked down and met Jiang Yao's big, bright, shimmering eyes. The little girl squeezed the bunny ears, then tilted her head, giving me a silly, adorable smile. I let out a sigh. All right, fine. It seems there's nothing after all. Then I helped Jiang Yao wash up and got ready for bed. She happily threw her arms around me. "I want to sleep with Daddy tonight." She used to sleep with both Dad and Mom when she was little. Mommy on the left, Daddy on the right, snuggling up to whoever she wanted. But after starting elementary school, she got her own room. And Mommy insisted she couldn't sleep with us anymore. I originally wanted to refuse her, but seeing my daughter's expectant, shimmering eyes, I couldn't bring myself to say no. Don't you go stealing Daddy's blanket now. Jiang Yao jumped onto the bed with joy, sticking her bum up and burying her head in the covers. It definitely smells like Daddy. Just then, my phone suddenly rang. It was an unknown number. After answering, Xia Qingwane's elegant voice came from the other end. John Houchin, have you two reached home yet? We're home, but I don't know how to buy clothes for little girls, so I only managed to pick out one set of pajamas. Find a time to take her to the mall yourself. Okay, I'll find a time this weekend. Xia Qingwane's voice sounded a bit hesitant and awkward. About that. It's not very convenient on my side, so I waved it off and said, it's fine, I live alone anyway. Jiang Yao can just stay with me. But Jiang Yao seemed really happy when she met you. Xia Qingwane obviously noticed that too. After all, during their short time together today, her mind had been completely occupied by the image of the soft, adorable Jiang Yao, like a little piece of candy. Xia Qingwane took a deep breath. Jian Houchin, let's find a time to meet for a bit tomorrow. Somewhere quiet with fewer people. Her voice dropped very low, as if she were doing something secretive. I chuckled softly. I knew it. Our cold school beauty Xia never knows how to be subtle. Xia Qingwane went silent. This comment seemed to annoy her and make her unhappy. She couldn't help but huff softly. Hearing that, I quickly explained, just kidding. Just contact me whenever you're free. Oh, if you want to talk to Jiang Yao. Jiang Yao's eyes lit up beside me. Is it Mommy? Dad. Jiang Yao wants to wish Mommy good night. The sound on the other end suddenly paused, followed by a tiny ah and a clattering sound. Like a water glass was knocked over. Never mind. Fat Xia Qingwane, as if escaping a disaster, quickly hung up. Her chest heaved violently. A vibrant flush spread from her neck upward, quickly overtaking her translucent earlobes and her porcelain white cheek. I'm only in my senior year of high school. What future husband and adorable daughter? This is just way too weird. When I woke up the next morning, I found Jiang Yao clinging to me, sleeping soundly, with a bit of drool glistening at the corner of her mouth. I closed my eyes, enjoying the quiet atmosphere for a moment, before gently untangling her. By the time I washed up and brought breakfast back, Jiang Yao was already wide awake. She seemed like she hadn't quite escaped her dream yet, sitting mealing on the bed in a daze. When she caught sight of me, she puffed out her lips, looking absolutely furious. Daddy, come here and gently shake Jiang Yao. I put breakfast on the table. Jiang Yao, you're a big girl now. You can't keep clinging to Daddy like this. Jiang Yao immediately huffed. I hate you, Daddy. I was a bit stunned, wondering what I'd even done to make her so grumpy. Could this girl be suffering from morning grumpiness? Thinking this, I watched her with interest. Does Jiang Yao not like Daddy anymore? Being a morning grouch isn't a good habit. No one in our Jiang family has this trait, so who did you inherit it from? Jiang Yao pursed her lips and gave me a dissatisfied glare. Not until after breakfast did she fully wake up, transforming from a fuming pufferfish back into a soft, adorable little candy. She hugged me a bit pitifully. Daddy, Jiang Yao is so bored being home all alone. Back in elementary school, I had so many friends. I patted her head. Can you bear it for 2 more days, Jiang Yao? You'll have new friends very soon. Daddy will be back at noon. If you're hungry, there are strawberries in the fridge, and snacks on the coffee table too. Jiang Yao was still very sensible. She gave my face a loud, wet kiss. Jiang Yao will definitely be good at home. You must bring Mommy home quickly too, okay? The little candy's pink lips were soft and warm, making my heart feel unusually at peace. On the way to school, I kept thinking about how to get Jiang Yao into school, since I couldn't just leave her at home forever. Upon reaching school, Chen Hao immediately interrogated me with a straight face. Houchin, confess right now. What's your relationship with school beauty Xia? I glanced at him. There's no relationship. We just happen to share a daughter. Seeing he didn't believe it, I had to wave it off. Just kidding. I'm the life commissioner. And Qingwan is the math study rep for the elite class. It's just some business with the teachers. Besides, she's the school beauty. Would she even spare me a glance? Stop imagining things. Only then was Chen Hao satisfied. After all, good bros can suffer together. But I can't stand you driving a supercar alone. Unexpectedly, my childhood friend Li Yu countered. Why wouldn't she be interested in you? Houchin, you actually look quite decent. Dress up a bit and you have the aura of a gigolo. Shen Hao looked frustrated. When did you go blind? It's not like you like Houchin, right? Li Yu frowned. Beat it. I mean, Chen Hao, you're the ugliest one here. While those two were busy bickering, time quickly flew by until the first math period. Looking at the 72 on her test, 8 points lower than mine, Li Yu was a bit devastated, because if she fails the entrance exam, she'll have to go home and inherit the family business. Talk about skipping from the start line to the finish line. That's right, she's a little rich lady. Her family owns over a dozen restaurant chains. Yet this girl is a total study maniac, like she's practicing the 9-yin manual, studying for 12 hours every single day, just to taste the hardships of life. At noon, Xia Qingone and I met in front of the grocery store behind the school. After waiting for about 5 minutes, I saw Xia Qingone slowly walking over. I handed her a bottle of mineral water. "Are you a morning grouch?" Xia Qingone looked slightly embarrassed hearing that. After a long pause, she asked hesitantly, "How did you know that?" Her morning grumpiness is extremely severe, the type where everything is an eyesore in the morning. Even a passing dog would get kicked twice. I sighed, "Then Jiang Yao inherited it from you. She was sulking at me this morning." I didn't even dare to utter a word. Seeing Xia Qingone remain silent, I said in the most polite tone possible, "This habit isn't really that great, you know." Xia Qingone felt a bit unhappy. "It's innate, can't be fixed." "Humph, if you didn't like it, why did you marry me then? So you'll just have to endure my morning grumpiness." Then I suggested she come home to see Jiang Yao for a bit. Xia Qingone hesitated for a moment, going to his house after only meeting twice. But despite the slight awkwardness, she didn't feel much resistance. Because if she didn't truly love me in the future, she would never have agreed to marry me. So she nodded in agreement. "Let's go back soon. I still have a bunch of test papers to finish." A few minutes later, the two of us sat side by side in the back row of the bus. Xia Qingone took a deep breath and took a notebook out of her bag. After I went back, I thought a lot about things regarding Jiang Yao. She said, pointing her pen at the first point. "First, and most importantly, every amount you spend on Jiang Yao must be fully recorded. I need to bear half of those expenses with you. My daily allowance isn't much, but I will definitely pay you back." Seeing her dead serious expression, I was slightly surprised. After hesitating for 2 seconds, I said, "Actually, you don't need to give me this money. I'm Jiang Yao's father. It's only normal to earn money for my wife and child." Xia Qingwone's cheeks turned crimson at that. She glared at me sharply. "Don't talk nonsense. Who's your wife anyway?" I gave an awkward laugh. "Go on. I'm currently living with my family, so we can't let them know about this. Therefore, Jiang Yao can likely only stay at your place. I'll probably have to wait until college before I can move out," Xia Qingone said awkwardly. It seemed that regarding Jiang Yao's affairs, she couldn't help much and had to rely on me in the end. I waved my hand. "It's no big deal. But Jiang Yao really wants to see you. Try to make time for her every day." Xia Qingone bit her lip, slowly nodding after a long while. Then she raised the most critical issue. "One more thing, it's about Jiang Yao's identity. If we want her to integrate into society and grow up like other normal girls, she needs a legal identity." I closed my eyes, rubbing my head while pondering this problem. Xia Qingone didn't disturb me anymore. She looked down at the notebook in her hand. She never read any sci-fi novels, so her concept of time was limited to the most basic understanding. If life followed its normal course, she would marry me one day in the future and give birth to Jiang Yao. But now that Jiang Yao has returned from the future and we've met earlier than intended, then the trajectory of our lives, hasn't it already been changed? Will we still marry and have Jiang Yao in the future? Will there be 2 Jiang Yaos then? Xia Qingone couldn't figure it out. Her thoughts were as tangled as a mess of yarn. A moment later, I opened my eyes about Jiang Yao's identity. "Let me handle it." Xia Qingone snapped out of her thoughts. Still looking a bit dazed, "Will it be very difficult?" I shook my head. "Just a bit anyway. Just leave it to me. Don't overthink it." Compared to me, Qingwane felt that she, as Jiang Yao's mother, wasn't fulfilling her responsibility at all. Frustrated, she pulled out 1,000 yuan. "This is for the DNA test. Here's your money back." I didn't refuse and took it directly. The bus soon reached the stop. When I opened the front door, the tiny girl, as pretty as an elf, came rushing out from her room. When she saw Xia Qingone, Jiang Yao's eyes immediately lit up. She opened her arms wide and dove into her embrace. "Mommy, welcome home." Xia Qingone looked a bit unnatural, but she still couldn't help herself from crouching down to hug the girl. Seeing this, Jiang Yao stood on her tiptoes and planted a kiss on her mother's right cheek, then ran over to me and did the exact same thing. Witnessing this scene, in Xia Qingwone's heart, an extremely strange thought suddenly emerged. Why do we look just like an old married couple? After entering the living room, Xia Qingone noticed that my house was much cleaner than she'd imagined. There was none of the mess of a typical bachelor. On the contrary, it was kept very tidy. This made her feel much more at ease. Jiang Yao, what did you do at home this morning? Qingwane avoided her daughter's glowing gaze and asked in the gentlest tone, watch TV. Jiang Yao hugged her mother tightly. And then I just sat waiting for mom and dad to return. I went into the kitchen to wash my hands, glancing at the TV, which was playing the classic cartoon Pleasant Goat and Big Big Wolf. I smiled and asked, hey Jiang Yao, do you know what happens to Pleasant Goat in the end? Jiang Yao immediately asked, what? What is it, Dad? He gets eaten by Big Big Wolf. Hearing that, Jiang Yao was stunned for a long time. After a moment, her lips turned down, and she burst into tears. Seeing that, Xia Qingone felt deeply distressed. She hurried to embrace Jiang Yao, then glared at me, don't talk nonsense. Daddy is tricking. Pleasant Goat drove Big Big Wolf away in the end. Only then did Jiang Yao cheer up again. She stuck her tongue out at me. Stinky Dad, go away. I couldn't help but laugh. Doesn't she get along with our daughter just fine? By the time I came out of the kitchen again, the mother and daughter were snuggled on the sofa. Jiang Yao hadn't been close to her mom for days, so she clung tightly to Xia Qingwane's embrace, not wanting to leave her for a single step. Mommy, mommy. Jiang Yao got to sleep with Daddy last night. You never used to let me sleep with Dad before. Is that so? Xia Qingone was also curious about her future self. It seems she'll be a rather strict mother. Jiang Yao puffed her cheeks. That's right. Mommy is so stingy. You always fight with Jiang Yao over Daddy. Hearing that, I chipped in. So Jiang Yao isn't mad at Mommy. I am. And then Mommy asks Daddy, if Jiang Yao and I fell into the water, who would you save first? I suddenly had a bad feeling. And then what? Then Mommy made Daddy kneel on the washboard. Then Jiang Yao gestured with her hands to show the size. This big. The board used for washing clothes. Hearing this, I snapped my head around, staring warily at school beauty Xia on the sofa, while Qingwane looked utterly incredulous. Though she knew the saying, daughters are their father's past lovers, she didn't believe her future self would be jealous of her own daughter. Noticing me staring, Xia Qingwane straightened her face and asked, what are you looking at me for? Now you know what kind of person I am, right? I nodded cautiously. I know, but my facing a mortal enemy look made Xia Qingwane a bit annoyed. What's that supposed to mean? Do you think I'm the type of woman who, when displeased, forces her husband to kneel on the floor? I stopped responding to the two of them and went back to the kitchen to prep lunch. Qingwane watched TV with Jiang Yao for a bit, then entered the kitchen to lend a hand. I turned to look at her, while cleaning the shrimp I bought this morning, and said, bothering you again. Just go play with Jiang Yao more. But Xia Qingwane frowned. Jiang Haochen, have you ever prepped fresh seafood before? I suddenly froze. I only know that if you put shrimp in a pot, it becomes cooked shrimp. Besides, this shrimp was still alive right before it died. Xia Qingwane let out a sigh, then put on an apron and pushed me aside. At this sight, I felt a bit disdained by her. Jiang Yao wasn't wrong at all, setting aside whether Qingwane and I will end up together in this life. As for family status, could the signs already be showing? Xia Qingwane knew what I was thinking. She cold-faced me, her voice threatening, then you better watch out in this life. Don't fall into my hands again, or I'll make you kneel to death. Qingwane worked very briskly, and before long the meal was ready. Seeing the table full of delicious food, Jiang Yao was practically drooling with joy. Qingwane felt a sudden surge of accomplishment. I took a bite, and gave a totally insincere review. It's just okay, not much different from mine. Qingwane rolled her eyes, then lowered her head to serve the girl, Jiang Yao. Eat slowly, okay? Perhaps Xia Qingwane didn't even realize herself that whenever she looked at Jiang Yao, her face would unconsciously soften. A moment later, she suddenly asked cautiously, Jiang Haochen, how are your grades? I glanced at her. Probably around the average passing mark. I won't fail, but they won't be exceptionally high either. Can't compare to the school's 6th rank like you. I see. Qingwane slowed down her eating, seemingly lost in thought. I knew what she was thinking. After a silence, I sighed. All right then. I originally wanted to stay with you both as an ordinary person, but looks like I'll have to get into a college in the same city as you. Xia Qingwane's eyes immediately widened, giving me a strange look. I frowned. Are you secretly looking down on me? Xia Qingwane looked very embarrassed. No, I'm not. How about I try to get into a college in your city instead? I think that might be a lot simpler. I let out a long sigh. School beauty, Xia. Your words are quite lethal, you know? But why would a top student like you marry someone who couldn't even hit 600 points like me? The moment I finished speaking, Xia Qingwane's small face immediately puffed up in anger. How should I know? Who knows how you tricked me into your house in the future? After finishing lunch, The two of them played with the girl for a while. Qingwan already had to get ready for school. The little girl naturally didn't want her to leave. Xia Qingone had to coax her for a long time, promising that she would come and play again tomorrow. Jiang Yao hugged her mother's long legs tightly, refusing to let go. Before, whenever Mom and Dad went out, I would always give Jiang Yao a light kiss. Xia Qingone had no other choice. I could only give her a gentle kiss on her cheek. Jiang Dao's eyes curved into a joyful, sweet smile. And Daddy too. So, following Xia Qingwane's lead, I softly kissed her other cheek. Mommy and Daddy, you have to come home early, okay? Jiang Yao is going to miss you both so much. At this sight, a strange and fluttery feeling washed over both of us. It felt as if we were a real married couple getting ready to head out. All the way to school, Qingwan remained quiet and pensive. Jiang Yao is so sensible for her age. But leaving her home all alone just feels too cruel. I thought for a moment, then I spoke up. Fortunately, tomorrow is already the weekend. I'm planning to take Jiang Yao to my aunt's place for a visit. Meeting her questioning gaze, I explained, my uncle-in-law works at the police station. I want to ask him for advice regarding Jiang Yao's situation. Saying that, I let out a heavy sigh. If only Jiang Yao were just a little bit older, then I could just say she's my old man's love child and call her my younger sister. Xia Qingone hesitated for a moment. I'll go with you. I didn't think twice about it and immediately nodded in agreement. When we stepped into the classroom, Li Yuyu was at her desk, buried in her practice exams, while Chen Hao was slumped over his desk taking a nap. I spent some time reviewing the questions I got wrong. Suddenly, I felt a slight headache coming on. 188 points. Even if I were as smart as Yuyu, I probably wouldn't reach that even if I studied to death. Li Yuyu, always sensitive when someone mentions her name, looked up and asked, Haochen, is there really something going on between you and the Xia family beauty? No, I have no interest in women right now. Li Yuyu felt that something was definitely fishy. Then what are you interested in? Making money. Oh, right, Yuyu, let me ask you something. Is there any way for a high school student to make some money? Li Yuyu was stunned. Are you short on cash? Just tell me how much you need and I'll transfer it. For my red envelopes and allowance over the last few years, I've already saved up over 200,000 yuan. Is that enough? I was completely dazed. Seriously, big sis, how about I just become your servant for life? But after thinking it over for a while, I still shook my head and declined. They'll come to you if I'm ever truly desperate. They'll find you later. Li Yuyu knew my personality only too well. She smiled, put her phone away, and continued. Let's go get some BBQ tonight, my treat. Hearing her say that, I pondered for a moment and replied, then I'll bring someone along. 8-year-old cousin who's been staying with me recently. Li Yuyu had no problem with that. So after school, I went home to pick up Jiang Yao first. But what I never could have expected was, when she met Li Yuyu and Chen Hao, Jiang Yao suddenly cheered with joy. Uncle Chen Hao. Auntie Yuyu, it's been so long. Uncle, why do you suddenly have hair now? Hearing that, all of us froze in shock. Chen Hao clenched his fist. What do you mean have hair? When did I not have hair? And calling me uncle the moment we meet? Hey kid, don't you have any manners? Saying that, he glared at me with deep resentment. Did you teach her to say that? I looked at Chen Hao's thick head of hair, with an expression of utter astonishment. Only I knew how much truth Jiang Yao's words carried. Li Yuyu also observed Jiang Yao curiously. Then she shook her head. Cousin, my foot, you don't look alike at all. This is definitely your biological sister. I breathed a sigh of relief, then generously admitted, well, that's true, but she's not actually my sister. With that, I leaned down and gathered Jiang Yao into my arms. She's my daughter. Of course, Jiang Yao resembles her daddy. Jiang Yao happily clung to my neck. I love you the most, daddy. Chen Hao rolled his eyes. Fine, fine. Let's just go eat. You're always teaching this kid the weirdest things. Better watch out or her real dad will come and beat you up. I couldn't help but laugh. Believe what you want. Then we headed to a newly opened shopping mall. It had been a while since Jiang Yao had a chance to go out with her dad. She was overflowing with pure excitement. She skipped along happily the entire way. Suddenly, she stopped and pointed at a claw machine. Daddy, I want that one. I glanced over. Inside were fluffy white bunny plushies. After dinner, Daddy will come back and win one for you, okay? Jiang Yao nodded. Get 2, please. One for Jiang Yao, and one for Mommy. Hearing that, I suddenly remembered. On Qingwan's backpack, there was a tiny bunny doll hanging from it. This afternoon, while sitting on the bus, she had occasionally and unconsciously fingered that little toy bunny. At that moment, Chen Hao, walking ahead, asked with a laugh, Hey little girl, who is your mommy? Mommy is just mommy. Uncle Chen Hao's question is so strange. Chen Hao choked. Call me brother. Call me brother and I'll win you a plushie later. I don't need it. Jiang Yao turned her face away unhappily. This scene made Li Yuyu burst out laughing. and she reached out to pinch the girl's cheek. Little sis, don't pay any attention to him. This uncle is not a good person at all. Make sure you stay far away from him in the future, okay? Chen Hao pouted. Yeah. I'm not a good person, but I wonder who is being bullied in primary school. And came crying to me, grabbing my shirt and calling me brother Chen Hao. Li Yu got flustered. That was ages ago. I was just a naive little kid who didn't know better back then. Watching them bicker, Jiang Yao leaned in and whispered in my ear, Daddy, do Uncle and Auntie always fight like this all day? I wonder if they'll make Daddy be the referee later. Hearing that, I looked ahead with a strange expression. Bicker all day? Don't tell me these two are still stuck together. Even after graduating from university? Sure enough, once we were seated at the barbecue restaurant, Jiang Yao suddenly frowned and asked, Auntie, how come Ming Ming didn't come today? Li Yu was puzzled. Who is Ming Ming? Jiang Yao was stunned. Why, she's the daughter of Uncle Chen Hao and Auntie Yu. She's my absolute best friend. Upon hearing this, Chen Hao, who was drinking water, almost choked to death on the spot. Li Yu was also startled out of her wits. She immediately turned and glared at me with pure fury. What kind of nonsense do you usually teach children? I shrugged helplessly. Honestly, I didn't teach her that. Li Yu tried to imagine that scenario. She shuddered. Don't make me vomit. Waking up every day to see his face, I'd probably lose my lunch every single time. Chen Hao gave her a side eye. Humph, I have plenty of girls chasing me, as if it wants you. To his surprise, Li Yu nodded. True, so you better be careful. After all, you're old and ugly. Those girls must be suffering from some serious daddy issues. Chen Hao was about to fire back, but when he saw Jiang Yao sitting across from him, he had to swallow all his curses. He could only give a thumbs up in the end. Truly incredible. Even all through dinner, the two of them still hadn't made up. Each ate with a cold expression. Once we finished, I fulfilled my promise. I went to the claw machine to win a bunny plushie for Jiang Yao. Jiang Yao hugged the two fluffy white bunnies and couldn't help but nuzzle her face against them. Then we said our goodbyes to the others. We held hands and walked home together, patted my daughter's head and asked, was what you said true, Jiang Yao? That Uncle Chen Hao and Auntie Li Yu will have a daughter named Ming Ming. Jiang Yao happily toyed with the bunny's ear. That's right. Ming Ming is my absolute best friend. Hearing that, I felt a twinge of worry. Would that future change? Because of Jiang Yao's arrival? Could everything be different now? But then I felt a bit more at ease. If something as absurd as time travel can happen, why overthink the rest? Other time travelers get systems and cheat codes. Jiang Yao's brand of embarrassing time travel. In any other story, she'd have been kicked out long ago. 8:30 the next morning, Xia Qingone was already standing at my door. I scratched my messy morning hair. You're here so early. Jiang Yao isn't even awake yet. Come inside first. Walking into the living room, Qingone immediately spotted them. The two white bunny plushies on the sofa. She stared at them for a long time before finally looking away. Seeing that, I casually picked one up and placed it in Xia Qingwane's hands. This is for you. Jiang Yao said you like bunnies too. She insisted that I win one for you no matter what. At that, Qingwane dazedly hugged the bunny, looking completely flustered and unsure what to do. I didn't pay much attention to her reaction and went into the bedroom to wake my daughter. As for Xia Qingone, she finally looked down at the plush bunny in her arms. A hint of gentleness flickered in her eyes. It's so adorable. Actually, it had been a very long time since anyone had given her a bunny. The bunny on her backpack dated back to when she was still in kindergarten. Her mother had bought it from a street stall and personally clipped it onto her bag. Whenever Qingwane stroked the bunny's ears, she could still feel her mother's presence. After we finished breakfast, Jiang Yao snuggled into Qingwane's arms with a pouting face, looking just like a grumpy little pufferfish. Qingwane felt a bit bewildered. This child's done-with-life-mourning face was truly identical to that of her own mother, so she leaned down and stroked her daughter's head. Are you not happy to see Mommy? Jiang Yao. Pouting like that isn't pretty at all, you know. Who would have thought? Jiang Yao's next words made her both amused and exasperated. And not happy. Mommy was too noisy while I was sleeping. Seeing this, I looked at her with a meaningful smile. I told you, didn't I? This little one is very grumpy in the morning. I wonder who she could have possibly learned that from. Xia Qingwane's expression froze. It took her a long moment before she finally spoke. Her voice had a cold edge. Then you should remember this well. When you look for a wife, never pick someone who's grumpy when they wake up. I replied while packing my bag. Fair enough. I'll set some house rules in the future. Anyone who dares to be grumpy with me in the morning is getting a spanking. Xia Qingwane gave a cold huff. Jiang Yao, Daddy says he wants to spank your bottom. I immediately denied it. How could Daddy ever have the heart to hit Jiang Yao? Qingwane's delicate face froze yet again. By the time she processed it, her face had turned a bright, vivid crimson. It wasn't until half an hour later that Jiang Yao finally shed her morning grumpiness. She lay in Xia Qingwane's arms, giggling and laughing non-stop. Meanwhile, I was crouching nearby, gathering the scattered game consoles and optical discs. I packed them all away into a backpack.
You two keep playing for a bit. I'm heading out for a while. I'll be right back.
Xia Qingwane paused. Where are you going? To sell these consoles and discs. The entrance exam is coming. There's no time to play anymore. Might as well sell them now while they're still worth something. Xia Qingwane didn't know much about boys' electronics, so she had no idea of their actual value. Hearing me say that, she didn't think much of it at first. But as soon as the sound of the door closing echoed, she suddenly realized something. Wait, Jiang Yao's daddy loves playing games that much. Jiang Yao nodded vigorously. He loves it so much. There are so many game consoles at home. Daddy wipes them clean with a cloth several times every single day. And Jiang Yao's favorite thing is to sit in Daddy's lap and watch him play games. Hearing that, Qinwen looked at the empty coffee table and fell into a silent contemplation.
Really was all for Jiang Yao's sake, to take something he loves so dearly and act as if he didn't care at all, right in front of her. Xia Qingwane had never truly understood me before. Because her mother had passed away early, Qingwane had always maintained a somewhat indifferent attitude toward romance. But now she suddenly felt that, regardless of how she felt about me now, at least in Jiang Yao's world, the Xia Qingwane of the future must have loved me very deeply. As that thought crossed her mind, Qingwane gently pinched her daughter's chubby cheek. Jiang Yao, try not to be so grumpy with Daddy in the morning anymore, okay? Can you do that for me? Hearing this, Jiang Yao's little face immediately crumpled into a pout. I don't want to be mad at Daddy, but everything is just so annoying when I first wake up. Then she held out her pinky finger. Then Mommy, pinky promise with Jiang Yao. From now on, both Jiang Yao and Mommy. No matter how annoyed we feel after waking up,
We must never be grumpy with Daddy. Xia Qingwane was momentarily stunned. Her heart suddenly filled with a strange, complex emotion. After a long pause, she finally extended her finger to lock pinkies with her daughter. I returned half an hour later, seeing the mother and daughter sitting together on the sofa watching TV. What are you two chatting about? Hearing my voice, Jiang Yao hopped off the sofa and threw herself into my arms. It's a secret. Daddy, Mommy, and Jiang Yao just made a 100-year promise. No changing it ever. I looked over at Qingwane. To my surprise, she immediately turned her head away, but the tips of her ears had suddenly turned a burning bright red. It's a secret. I can't tell you. I sat down for a moment. I didn't press for details. Let's go. First, we need to buy some clothes for Jiang Yao, and we're seeing my aunt this afternoon. After leaving the house, I chose the nearest shopping mall, walked ahead phone in hand, checking my Alipay balance. Since the console and discs were practically new, they sold for over 3,000 yuan in total. This should be enough to cover our expenses for now. Even after buying things for Jiang Yao, we'll have a decent amount left. But Jiang Yao will definitely need to go to school later. I was silently calculating everything in my head, so I appeared a bit preoccupied. Meanwhile, Xia Qingone followed behind, holding Jiang Dao's hand. Her expression was exceptionally gentle. Watching her daughter's joyful skipping, her own mood lightened in an extraordinary way. However, what she never could have expected was running into her younger half-sister, Xia Qingone, right here. She was surrounded by a group of high school girls. Each one of them was dressed in a very flashy style. And yet, when she saw Qingwen holding Jiang Yao's hand, with me standing right there beside them, Xia Qinggone's face instantly twisted with annoyance. Xia Qingwen, if you wanted to come to the mall, you should have just told Mom. You're just hanging out with friends. Why on earth did you lie and say you were going to the library? Qingwen just gave a non-committal hum to brush it off. She lowered her eyes and said nothing. Only her grip on Jiang Yao's hand tightened slightly. But Xia Qingone kept prying. Sister, who is this guy? And where did this little kid come from? Jiang Yao gave her a quick look and immediately buried her face in her mother's side. She clearly looked quite displeased. Qingwen's face remained largely expressionless. She coolly replied, just a friend. I was just asking, don't be so stingy. Relax. I won't tell Mom and Dad. Disbelief was written all over Xia Qinggone's face. She seemed utterly fascinated and kept badgering, mainly because in all these years,
this was the first time she'd ever seen Qingwane out alone with a boy. Qingwane stayed silent, while the other girls accompanying Xia Qingone could all sense it. The relationship between these two sisters was incredibly strained and distant. Xia Qingone felt extremely annoyed. She clicked her tongue. Must you always be like this? After all, we're family. There's no need to keep secrets from us. Why are you always so sour toward me and Mom? Qingwane found her words slightly ridiculous. To be fair, she didn't hate her half-sister that much. It was only natural for a stepmother to favor her own child. That's why she always helped with chores, and never fought for anything since she was little. Yet Xia Qingone and her stepmother still disliked her. Thinking of this,
Qingwan took a deep breath. Honestly, it doesn't matter if you tell them. I'm 18 now. I'm an adult. I have the right to my own life and my own friends.
Xia Qing's lips quivered. She didn't know what to say in response. In the end, she just stomped her foot in frustration. Fine, have it your way then, and not going to bother with you anymore. With a personality like yours, it's no wonder neither mom nor dad loves you. Nobody will ever want to like you. Qingwan said nothing, but I, who had been fiddling with my phone this whole time, looked up and shot Xia Qing a sharp glance. For a young girl, you should keep your mouth from being so toxic. You're so young, yet you talk just like those gossipy old hags. Don't you feel any shame? What did you just say? Xia Qing's face turned beet red instantly. Sister, who is this guy? With that, she reached out to shove me, but I stood as firm as a pillar. Instead, she was the one who stumbled back a step. I didn't even get angry. I just gave her shoulder a gentle pat. You better treat your sister better from now on. Don't spend every day looking for ways to bully her, understood? Having said that, my expression slowly turned ice cold. Back when I was bullying people in middle school, you were probably still playing in the dirt in some corner. Xia Qing was terrified by the look in my eyes. She unconsciously took a step back. Seeing that, I slowly let a smile spread across my face. There, isn't that much better? Just be a good girl. Maybe your sister will buy you some treats later, okay? It's really no big deal. Go back to playing with your friends now. Hearing my tone as if I were lecturing a small child, Xia Qing wisely chose not to talk back any further and quietly walked away with her friends. Witnessing this, Qingwan finally snapped out of her daze. To be honest, she had been a little bit frightened herself. She almost thought that in the next second I was going to reach out and slap Xia Qing right across her mouth. Thinking that, she murmured softly, "Why were you suddenly so aggressive?" I shrugged. Back in middle school, I spent every day idling on the streets with Chen Hao. I was actually a pretty tough guy back then, no joke, but I've since turned over a new leaf. Qingwan looked a bit stunned. After a while, she let out a soft sigh. She wasn't actually scolding me just now. I glanced at her and casually replied, "Didn't she say that nobody likes you?" Xia Qingwan froze. Pure confusion was written all over her beautiful face. Nobody likes me. So what does that have to do with you getting angry? That's such a strange thing to say. Qingwan felt the tips of her ears starting to heat up. Once again with embarrassment. Then I continued, "Wasn't she basically insulting Jiang Yao?" Hearing this, Qingwan let out a soft, "Oh." She realized she had completely misunderstood. But then, a wave of indignation suddenly rose within her, and she couldn't help but blurt out, "Then you must not be a very good person either, for you to be the one to love me in the future." My face was full of confusion. Hearing that, I froze as well. The way this top student's mind works, why is it so different from a normal person's? It just makes her seem a little bit silly. Afterward, the two of us took Jiang Yao for a stroll through the mall, intending to pick out a few outfits for her. Mother and daughter turned out to have very similar tastes. The children's clothes that Qingwan found pretty were the ones that Jiang Yao loved as well. "How about you all try this set? I think it would look wonderful on your whole family." The sales assistant pointed in a certain direction. Qingwan followed the direction of her hand. It was a set of 3 family pajamas with adorable kitten patterns. At that moment, the shop assistant looked at me, sitting on a bench playing with my phone. "This set really would suit all of you. Big brother, why don't you have a look too?" Being mistaken for her older brother, I looked up. I immediately felt a sense of impending doom. I'm a man of honor and dignity. How could I possibly put something like that on? So I immediately waved my hands in refusal. I'm not wearing that. Hearing this, Jiang Yao stood beside me and hugged me coaxingly. "Daddy, Jiang Yao loves this set so much." I frowned. "But if Daddy wears such childish clothes, Uncle Chen Hao will laugh at me forever. Please, Daddy. My daddy is the best in the whole world." Jiang Yao grabbed my arm and shook it back and forth relentlessly. The sales assistant standing nearby felt her heart completely melt at the sheer cuteness. "You silly man, just buy it for her already." "Sir, you really should buy it for her." Having no other choice, I gave her nose a gentle pinch. "Jiang Yao, you're so young, yet you already know how to pull this trick. When you grow up, I wonder how many boys you'll lead on as lovesick fools." Qingwan watched Jiang Yao clinging affectionately to her dad. Her mood suddenly became a bit strange. No wonder Jiang Yao said that in the future, she would be competing with a girl. This way of acting so cute with her dad. She really is a more formidable rival than any past lover. Please, the 3 of you should try them on first. It's perfectly fine if you don't like them. Our shop has a camera. Even if you don't buy them, it would still be nice to take a photo together as a keepsake. Since she had put it that way, Qingwan and I could no longer refuse her. Besides, since Jiang Yao returned from the future to the present, we actually hadn't taken a single photo together as a family yet. 10 minutes later, I finished changing and stood in front of the large hall mirror. A little while later, Xia Qingone emerged from the women's changing room, leading Jiang Yao by the hand.
She hadn't tied her hair up as she usually did, but instead had simply slipped her hair tie around her wrist, making her whole aura suddenly seem much more laid back and relaxed. "Stop looking at me," Xia Qingone said, avoiding my gaze. "It is just so that, when I take this outfit off, it will just be a bit more convenient." "Fair enough." I paused for a moment. "So after you marry me and wear your hair like this at home, is it also to make it more convenient, taking your clothes off?" Of course, I did not dare say such nonsense out loud, as it would surely make Xia Qingone want to kill me on the spot, so I kept those thoughts to myself. Seeing the mood, the shop assistant excitedly set up her camera right away. "Come here and take a photo. It feels like you are not just playing house."
But you really look like a real family. The three of us stood before the lens, capturing a moment into a photo with a perfectly balanced composition. Soon after, the assistant sent the photo to both of our WeChat accounts. I glanced at the photo on my phone, and without a word, I finally decided to buy this family set. Xia Qingone received it too, but she felt a bit hesitant in her heart. Did I really look that happy when the photo was taken? Thinking for a moment, she created a new album on her phone and put the photo inside. Then she named the album Jiang Yao. Once she was done, she carefully put her phone back in her pocket. But when she looked up, she saw me walking ahead, one hand holding a skipping and hopping Jiang Yao, the other carrying all the things we bought for our daughter. This sight left Xia Qingone in a bit of a daze. After freezing for 2 seconds, she took out her phone once more, Slowly deleted the name Jiang Yao and changed it to Jiang Yao and Jiang Haochen. After finishing lunch, the three of us went to a residential area. Xia Qingone instructed me, "When the time comes, just say, Jiang Yao is my younger sister and that I asked you for help with this. Basically, don't let your aunt and uncle find out the truth." I nodded. "Don't worry." Having said that, I went up and rang the doorbell. A moment later, Aunt Jiang Lingling opened the door. She reached out and poked my face. "How, Chen? What brings you to visit your auntie all of a sudden? Or do you want me to take you out to play?" My expression was a bit helpless. "Auntie, how old are you now? Stop acting like a little girl all the time." Jiang Lingling put her hands on her hips, about to argue back, when she saw the two beauties, big and small, standing behind me. Before she could even wonder what the relationship was between Xia Qingone and me, she saw the little girl grinning widely at her. Turns out Daddy brought me here to find Great Aunt. Seeing the deep dimples on the little girl's face, Jiang Lingling's expression gradually froze. Why does this little girl look so much like a child of our Jiang family? Thinking this, her face immediately darkened. "Is this your father's illegitimate child?" My eyes lit up. "What are you thinking, Auntie? Did my dad really father such a pretty child?" Hearing that, Jiang Lingling's expression softened. "That's true. Then they are." I said seriously, "This is my friend and her younger sister. Auntie, I have something important to ask you today. Let's not just stand out here." Seeing this, Jiang Lingling quickly stepped aside, leading us into the house. A moment later, Xia Qingone held Jiang Yao's hand and silently sat down on the sofa. She only dared to stare at the tips of her shoes. "Everyone, have some water." Jiang Lingling smiled brightly. "This little girl is truly too beautiful." "Haochen, you certainly have good taste." "Thank you, Auntie Jiang." Xia Qingone was very awkward, like a girl visiting her boyfriend's house for the first time. Seeing this, Jiang Lingling immediately made up an excuse to pull me into the room, leaving space for Xia Qingone to feel less stressed. After we left, Jiang Yao couldn't help but blink her big round eyes. "Mommy, why didn't you let me call her Great Aunt? Great Aunt was always so good to me." Xia Qingone gently stroked the little girl's head. "Because right now, she isn't your great aunt yet. That will only happen in more than 10 years. You will understand when you grow up, Jiang Yao." Being in an environment both familiar and strange, that was Jiang Yao's sorrow. She recognized everyone, but the people who once loved her had no idea who she was. On the other side, Jiang Lingling was looking at me scrutinizingly. "Spill it. Who are those two girls, big and small?" I waved my hand, looking at her with total sincerity. "Auntie, you probably won't believe it if I tell you, but that child is my daughter." Jiang Lingling immediately glared at me. "Go play somewhere else. I checked on you every week. When that girl was born, you hadn't even started puberty yet." I scratched my head sheepishly. "When I was little, you really did enjoy pulling my pants down to check on me." At this, Jiang Lingling put her hands on her hips and continued questioning. "Then who exactly is that child?" I quickly said, "She's Xia Qingwane's younger sister. She was kidnapped by traffickers shortly after she was born. They only recently found her, so she doesn't have a household registration and can't go to school. You know, doesn't Brother Meng work at the police station? He asked me to come and ask about it." Hearing this, Jiang Lingling immediately pinched my ear. "What? Brother Meng? Don't be disrespectful. He's your uncle now." I irritably replied, "But I've always called him Brother Meng before. It's a habit I can't break." "Auntie, you really are an old cow eating young grass. My uncle's name is Meng Yufei, and he's 7 years younger than my aunt." Because of his handsome looks and gentle personality, all the kids in the neighborhood really liked this neighbor guy. Somehow, the two of them eventually fell for each other, creating a real-life version of an older woman, younger man romance. After hearing me speak, Jiang Lingling's face immediately turned bright red. "What do you mean, old cow eating young grass? What does a little brat like you know about love?" With that, she waved her hand, wanting to quickly move past the subject. "But if it's that girl's family business, why are you so eager to help?" I waved her off. Don't ask about the affairs of a love-struck fool. Hearing that, Jiang Lingling looked at me with a somewhat strange look in her eyes. Seeing this, I sighed helplessly. "All right, she's my girlfriend." Jiang Lingling's expression relaxed. "Why didn't you just say so from the start? Hao-Chen, you're quite something, having such a beautiful girlfriend." "Oh, right, I recall your college entrance exams are coming up soon, right?" Knowing what she was thinking, I quickly made a gesture for her to be quiet. "So don't you dare tell my parents. And don't say anything reckless when we go back out. Girls like her get embarrassed easily. If it weren't for her sister's situation, she wouldn't have even agreed to come here today." Jiang Lingling hummed in response, then began to think seriously for a moment. "But why does that child look more and more like our Jiang family the more I look at her?" I said quickly, "Really, Auntie, I also feel a strong connection with her. But can you help with this matter?" Jiang Lingling didn't answer immediately. Instead, she frowned and asked, "What about the child's family? Why is it just the older sister bringing her here?" I sighed. "Her mother passed away, and her father has remarried. The stepmother is, well, it's a bit difficult. Then the poor child is truly pitiful. But are there any documents to prove the child's identity?" I shook my head. "Although there are DNA test results, they can't just be shown to anyone." Seeing this, Jiang Lingling stated firmly, "If there's nothing, then it definitely can't be done. There's no point even asking your uncle about this." Later, through more of her explanations, I also got the gist of the problem. For now, there really is no way to resolve this. When the two of us stepped out of the room, Xia Qingone was still sitting upright on the sofa. Seeing the two of us come out, she looked a bit anxious. As for Jiang Yao, because she had to wait a while, she had fallen fast asleep in her mother's arms. Seeing this, I lowered my voice. "Auntie, one more thing. Aren't you a literature teacher at Chaoyang Elementary School? Could this little girl start school there first? She's at the age where she can't just stay at home forever." Jiang Lingling shook her head. "That won't work. That also requires guardianship papers. Besides, and currently on leave. I haven't been to school for merely a week." Saying that, she gently rubbed her flat belly, her face full of happiness. "Impregnant. I'm sorry, little girl. I don't think I can help you. I made you come all this way for nothing." "It's all right, Auntie." Xia Qingwone's voice dropped a little. "We will find another way." Seeing this, the curiosity in Jiang Lingling's heart grew stronger. Why does it feel like these two are actually raising a child together? Why do I feel like I'm talking to my niece-in-law? Then I spoke up. "Auntie, I already told you about her family situation. Could we do it like this? Since you're a teacher, during the day you can help teach her to read and write, take her out to play, and in the evening, well, come to pick her up." Jiang Lingling agreed immediately without even thinking. "It's perfect since your uncle is usually very busy, and I have nothing to do at home by myself." However, while she was talking, her eyes never once left Xia Qingone sitting on the sofa, as if these words were actually meant for her. Feeling her gaze, Xia Qingwone's ears slowly turned red. She felt that ever since they came out of the room, the way Auntie Jiang Lingling looked at her was very different. She lowered her eyes and said softly, "Thank you, Auntie Jiang." Jiang Lingling smiled. "It's nothing. I'm very good at taking care of children, don't worry." Just then, Meng Yufei walked into the house carrying several bags in both hands. "Hao-Chen, you're here. Stay for dinner with us tonight," I laughed. "Brother Meng, congratulations. In the blink of an eye, you're already about to become a father. I'm waiting to hold the baby." Meng Yufei was about to respond when he suddenly noticed Xia Qingone and the child on the sofa. He asked curiously, "Are you two Hao-Chen's friends?" Xia Qingone replied slowly, "Hello, uncle. Auntie, we'll head back now. I still have some test papers to finish. They'll bring Jiang Yao over tomorrow morning." Hearing that, I picked up the sleeping Jiang Yao and left. After seeing us off, Jiang Lingling briefly explained to Meng Yufei the purpose of our visit. Meng Yufei found it preposterous. "No way. I have to bring that kid back here and get a proper explanation. Not to mention the child. John Hao-Chen is about to take the college entrance exams. He shouldn't be messing around with dating at this stage." Jiang Lingling, a bit angry, held her husband's hand firmly. "Get back here. Hao-Chen is already an adult. He knows how to handle his own affairs. Besides, weren't you also in school when you fell for me?" After saying that, Jiang Lingling twisted her hand and pinched her husband's ear. "Back then, you snuck over every weekend to climb into my bed. Why didn't anyone call the police to arrest you then?" "Well, Inspector Meng?" Meng Yufei panicked, whole face turning bright red.
How is that the same thing? Wasn't it because you were the proactive one? On the way back, I relayed my aunt's words to Xia Qingone. Don't overthink it. It's not that it's impossible. The timing just isn't right yet. Your grades are so good. You can get into the top universities in the country.
Don't let this matter affect you. Xia Qingone glanced at me. And what about you? I laughed softly. Is the elite student from a prestigious school discriminating against a commoner from an ordinary one? Hearing that, Xia Qingone turned her face away, not wanting to talk to me anymore. A moment later, she turned back, her voice a bit cool. When we get home, give me your test papers from last month. By the time we got home, it was already 4 p.m. The little girl was still drowsy, so I carried her to bed. Xia Qingone didn't waste any time, taking out my pile of tests to examine them meticulously. Only after a long while did her expression finally soften. It's okay, only English and literature are a bit weak. With a little time, you can pull your grades up. Thinking for a bit, she stood up and put my test papers into her bag. I'll take these home to study them properly. I'll pick out some practice problems for you at home and bring them for you on Monday. Hearing that, I, who was lazily playing on my phone, had to look up. Great beauty, Xia, why do you care so much about my grades? What if your own grades drop because of this? Xia Qingwone's movements while packing her bag paused. Just let them drop a little. It's fine. If they stay too high, I'm afraid you won't be able to keep up. My expression froze for a few seconds. A moment later, I laughed. No need. Didn't I already manage to win you over even when I only scored 500 points? Xia Qingone gave a soft huff in talking about the academic scores. After saying that, she slung her cloth bag over her shoulder and left. 10 minutes later, Xia Qingone sat alone in the back row of the bus, looking at the bunny doll in her hand, her mind wandering. Everything that has happened over the past few days has made it almost impossible for her to adapt in time. In the stories Jiang Yao told, her future was so beautiful that any girl would feel jealous. Up until this point, she still felt that something was not quite real. She wasn't even sure if I, the person she might only fall for at 27 or 28, was the person she would give her heart to, regardless of her age, the moment they met. Nevertheless, Xia Qingone still felt immense joy because of it. Xia Qingone gently squeezed the rabbit's ears. Mom, after all these years, besides you, someone else is finally giving me a little bunny. Half an hour later, Xia Qingone stood still at the door for a long time before taking the key from her pocket to open it. But as soon as she stepped into the house, she sensed that the atmosphere was a bit unusual. Only her stepmother, Xiao Ziqing, was sitting silently in the living room, while Xia Qing's bedroom door was tightly shut. The television volume was also turned down very low. Hearing the door open, Xiao Ziqing turned her head to look at her. Qingwen, come here and sit. Xia Qingone hesitated for a moment, but eventually sat down on the chair obediently. Xiao Ziqing turned off the TV sound completely, and then stared at her nominal eldest daughter from head to toe. I recall you telling me this morning that you were studying at the library. When your sister came home this afternoon, she said you were actually out playing with some boy. Xia Qingone did not deny it this time. Instead, she gave a slight nod in admission. Actually, she knew that if she didn't admit it, Xiao Ziqing probably wouldn't have cared enough to investigate further. But for some reason, she didn't want to hide anything related to me. Xiao Ziqing also hadn't expected her to admit it so forthrightly, and she fell into a rare silence. She paused for a long while before continuing. I heard from Qiangcheng that boy looks like he's good for nothing. Qingwen, how could you befriend such a person?
That's not true. He's not that kind of person. Xia Qingwone's tone suddenly became unusually serious, no longer showing her usual timid demeanor. Xiao Ziqing frowned, a bit displeased with this attitude. I haven't told your father about this yet. Don't make him worry. From now on, you are not allowed to see that boy again. Do you understand? My academic performance is very good and stable, and besides, I am already an adult. I have enough judgment to know who is a suitable person to be friends with. Xiao Ziqing was truly angry this time. You child, can't you distinguish right from wrong? People are worried you're being deceived. Don't you understand? After the college entrance exams, you can go wherever you want, but right now, absolutely not. Mom, I am not your mother. I am under no obligation to indulge you in everything. Got it? Xiao Ziqing was in a fit of rage, so she blurted those words out without thinking. But as soon as the words left her mouth, she suddenly realized her words had been too harsh. Her lips twitched slightly, but in the end, she couldn't say another word. Following that, both of them just sat on the sofa in silence. Aside from the silent images on the television, everything seemed to fall into a state of absolute stillness. Finally, Xia Qingone stood up, clutching her school bag. Auntie, please don't be angry anymore, and please take care of your health. When the college entrance exams come, I definitely won't let you or my father lose face. Hearing her address shift from intimate to formal,
Xiao Ziqing wanted to say something, but the words ultimately caught in her throat. She knew just how deeply her previous sentence had hurt. She just stood there staring at Xia Qingone as she walked into her room and gently closed the door. In reality, it's not that Xiao Ziqing had never thought about treating her well, caring for her like her own biological child. But every time when Xiao Ziqing saw her face becoming more and more beautiful as she grew, she couldn't help but be reminded of her late mother. After a long while, she sighed to herself. Qingwan is truly a good child, but after all these years, she still isn't my own flesh and blood. I truly have no way to bring myself to love her. What can be done? That evening, I spent a full 4 hours explaining the concept of time travel to Jiang Yao. To make it easier for her to visualize, I even let her watch many episodes of Doraemon. The next morning, when I asked Jiang Yao again, the little girl eagerly replied, "I know now. I'm Doraemon. I came back from the future using a time machine to help Daddy and Mommy fulfill their wishes. And except for Daddy and Mommy, I won't tell anyone else." I smiled and nodded, then took her to my aunt's house. As soon as we entered, Jian Lingling looked behind me with a questioning expression. "Why are you alone? Where is that girl?" I replied casually. "Her house is a bit far, so since last night, she entrusted the little girl to me." "Jian Yao, greet great aunt." "Good morning, great aunt." Hearing Jiang Yao's greeting, Jian Lingling was a bit surprised. "You taught her that?" I smiled and explained. Since I wasn't sure what address to use, I just let her follow my lead for convenience. Jiang Lingling thought about it for a while and didn't care much. She thought the address sounded quite pleasant. However, she felt toward this child. She had a sense of closeness that was very natural. "Jiang Yao, stay home and play with great aunt today. You have to be very good. Daddy will come to pick you up in the evening." Jiang Yao gave a sweet little yes, then obediently approached Jiang Lingling. I took her hand and said, "Auntie, if you have time, please teach her to read and write. At her age, she really should be in elementary school." Jiang Lingling smiled and nodded. She looked down and saw the little girl looking up at her too. Sensing great aunt's gaze, Jiang Yao broke into a sweet smile. "Great aunt, I'm a very good student. You know, my teacher gives me stars for my perfect scores every single day." Hearing this, Jiang Lingling couldn't help but turn and glare at me. "Didn't you say she was kidnapped by human traffickers, and yet she still got to go to school?" I gave a sheepish shrug. "Well, maybe. Even human traffickers understand the importance of education, auntie." Jiang Lingling shot me a blistering look. "I think you're the one who looks like a trafficker. Now hurry up and get to school." After I left, Aunt smiled at the girl. "Jiang Yao, what's your full name?" "Great aunt, my name is Jiang Yao." Upon hearing the answer, Jiang Lingling's eyes instantly widened. Jiang Yao's last name is Jiang too. She began to observe the child before her even more closely. The more she looked, the more she saw the child was identical to her younger self. And those eyes, they bore a striking resemblance to the girl who came with me yesterday. Suddenly, a certain possibility crossed her mind, but Jiang Lingling felt it was simply too preposterous. Meanwhile, in another place, having just returned to school, I received a message from Xia Qingone. "I probably won't be able to come over to your place this week. Please apologize to Jiang Yao for me." I thought about it for a while and decided it wasn't a big deal. After all, she's the top student in the elite class. It's only natural for her to be busy with her studies. I've picked out some exercises for you. I've also put together some other materials. I'll send them over for you to look at too. I'll give them to you when you're free. A top student is truly a top student, never procrastinating even for a second. I typed back, "Let's meet after school." Xia Qingone replied instantly, "I can't. My dad is coming to pick me up today." I was a bit puzzled. High school and still needs parents to pick her up. Then it suddenly hit me. It's probably because of her stepsister. She must have gone home and talked some nonsense. I texted back, "Then I'll have a female friend go pick it up." Without waiting for her reply, I just put my phone away. But when I looked up, I noticed Li Yu at the next table was staring right at me. Seeing me look back, she scratched her head shyly. "I didn't mean to. I was going to ask you some math problems, but you were so focused that I couldn't help but peek." I waved it off. "It's fine. Just don't let that resentful guy Chen Hao see it." Even though Li Yu knew peeking was wrong, once she saw the name Xia Qingone in the contacts, she couldn't tear her eyes away. Especially that one sentence. "I probably can't come over to your place this week." Li Yu felt that if she kept looking, she might see something not suitable for minors. "Since she's been my big sister Yu since we were kids, why don't you help me go upstairs to find Qingwen? She was planning to give me some stuff tonight." Li Yu raised an eyebrow slightly. "Are you two sleeping together already?" "Not yet." As soon as I said it, I knew I messed up. I quickly corrected myself. "No, we're just normal friends." But Li Yu clearly didn't believe it. "If you're just normal friends, then let me give Chen Hao a heads up." I panicked. "Don't you dare." Li Yu smirked. "Oh? Aren't you just normal friends?" Seeing that, I quickly used my trump card.
Sis Yu, this is a simp's business. Don't get involved. Li Yu's brows furrowed instantly. A simp.
But I thought you two were on pretty good terms, I replied calmly.
Well, even simps have their own hierarchy. Though most don't deserve a seat at the table, some occasionally get to eat the scraps. Despite thinking it was ridiculous, Li Yu still gave some kind advice. Haochin, simps and beggars both eat from the same floor. You should have some self-respect. I told her the same thing. She wouldn't listen, but she's still a girl after all. If everyone knew she was the one simping for me, how embarrassing would that be for her? Hearing this, Yu's face darkened as she went back to her seat. Can you be any more shameless? But in the end, she was still generous enough to help. However, when she saw the workbook Xia Qingone handed over, she couldn't help but complain immediately. Honestly, this is completely unnecessary. If you two want to go to the same university, no amount of effort from Haochin will make a difference.
Xia Qingone remained silent. Just now, she had been quietly observing this girl. Finally, she couldn't resist asking, "Are you Jiang Haochin's friend?" Li Yo smiled and nodded. "You could say we're childhood sweethearts. We've been hanging out since elementary school. But Haochin has definitely changed a bit lately." Li Yo sighed. "He used to never want to study. He'd just sleep through morning self-study. I don't know what's gotten into him these past few days. He starts reading books and memorizing vocab as soon as he arrives." Hearing that, Xia Qingone didn't say a word, but she unconsciously cracked a smile. Maybe she was motivated by what I said about being afraid he wouldn't be able to keep up. Then Li Yo prepared to leave. Before she went, she looked at Xia Qingone with a mix of admiration and longing. Xia Qingone was so beautiful, so smart, and had such long legs. Even a girl like her was practically drooling. She immediately gritted her teeth. That damn Jiang Haochin. You're so dead. Over the next few days, Xia Qingone really didn't come by anymore. She just frequently compiled exercises and key knowledge points she found important and asked Yu to bring them to me. Sometimes after school, I'd catch a glimpse of her downstairs at the academy. She looked a bit tired, as if her family was keeping her on a very short leash. But she called every single night just to hear Jiang Yao's voice. The tiny youthful voice piped up. "Today the teacher taught me how to write daddy and mommy's names." Xia Qingone looked at the photo on WeChat. The strokes were childish but very neat. You could tell Jiang Yao must have practiced for a long time. Her voice couldn't help but soften. Jiang Yao is so clever. But Jiang Haochin, doesn't your aunt suspect anything? I smiled. It's fine. She did ask a few things, but Jiang Yao is very sharp. She didn't let anything slip. But after saying that, I scratched my head a bit. It's just that on the first night, when I went to pick Jiang Yao up, my aunt's gaze was a bit subtle and hesitant. Xia Qingone saved the photo into her secret photo album. Then Jiang Yao sniffled. "Mommy, when are you coming to see me? I miss you so much." Mommy misses Jiang Yao too. "Can you give Mommy just a little more time?" Xia Qingwane's voice trailed off. She didn't know how to comfort her daughter. About last Saturday, her dad had already sat her down for a talk. His tone wasn't harsh, but the meaning behind his words was clearly that he hoped before college she wouldn't get too close to any boys. Jiang Haochin, just as Xia Qingone was about to say more, her father, Xia Qingone, knocked on the door from outside. "Qingwane, go to bed early, sweetheart. Don't be on the phone so late. Whatever it is, it can wait until tomorrow morning." Hearing that, I whispered, "Hang up now. Jiang Yao is fine with me. Just take good care of yourself." With that, I took the initiative to end the call. Xia Qingone finally put her phone down and turned to reply, "Okay, Dad." That stressful life dragged on for an entire week, until that Friday night. Coming home from school today, she found the living room empty. She was dying to hear Jiang Yao's voice, but I had replied to her messages since yesterday. Even her phone calls went unanswered. "Can I come visit Jiang Yao this weekend?" But there was still no response from my end. This made Xia Qingone feel uneasy. Right at that moment, a Qingone called her. "Qingone, are you home yet? Today is your birthday. Mom left your present on your desk. Happy birthday, sweetheart." Xia Qingone's voice sounded a bit weary. Only then did Xia Qingone realize that today was actually her birthday. "Thanks, Dad." After talking for a bit, Xia Qingone learned that everyone had gone to the hospital to look after her stepsister's grandmother and wouldn't be back until late. After hanging up, Xia Qingone returned to her room. She put the gift, a pair of small white shoes, in the closet, then picked up her phone again. But the chat window still showed no reply. She typed another message. "Can I come over now?" After sending it, Xia Qingone couldn't focus on anything else. She sat on the bed, hugging her knees, staring blankly at the phone in front of her. The constant tension had finally worn her out. Just like that, she leaned against the headboard and drifted off to sleep. When the ringing of her phone woke her up, it was pitch black outside the window. Squinting her eyes, she dizzily picked up the vibrating phone that was ringing incessantly. "What are you doing?" Over the phone, I asked in a calm voice. "What are you doing, Xia Qingone?" I've called so many times and you didn't even pick up. Xia Qingone rubbed her eyes hard, feeling like she was being scolded by me. She felt a bit sulky. I accidentally fell asleep just now. It's obviously because you didn't reply to my messages first. It's not even that late. Get up. Jiang Yao, hold on tight. Watch your step. Don't wobble like that. From the other end of the line, Jiang Yao's cute, slightly pouting voice could be heard. I know, Daddy. I continued asking her if she could come out now. Hearing this, Xia Qingone lay on the bed with a dazed expression. Where are you guys? I smiled. Get up and wash your face. Get dressed and wait for us downstairs. After hanging up, Xia Qingone quickly got ready and rushed downstairs. Very soon she saw Jiang Yao and me sitting by the flower bed on a long bench chatting. The yellow streetlights cast their glow, stretching our shadows long on the ground. The air was filled with a warm atmosphere. Xia Qingone stood frozen in her tracks, staring blankly at the two of us. Jiang Yao immediately spotted her. Mommy's here. I took the little girl's hand and we trotted over. She held out her chubby little hands. Happy birthday, Mommy. I wish you stay as young as you were yesterday every birthday. Xia Qingone hugged the little girl almost purely out of instinct, still looking a bit dazed. I stood right next to them, carrying a transparent birthday cake box. Happy birthday. I bought a cake for you. Xia Qingone asked in a daze, how did you know today was my birthday? I explained with a smile. Jiang Yao told me. As soon as she woke up yesterday morning, she insisted on celebrating your birthday. She's been nagging me about it for 2 days straight. Hearing this, Xia Qingone didn't say anything, but she unconsciously hugged her daughter tighter. Jiang Yao, aren't you mad at Mommy for not visiting you for so long? To her surprise, Jiang Yao tilted her head in confusion, but it's Jiang Yao who came to see Mommy. Looking at her daughter's innocent and adorable face, the emotions Xia Qingone had suppressed for so long were slowly replaced by something else. It was as if the things she never dared to dream of were suddenly right there in front of her. Xia Qingone felt a sting in her nose, her lips trembling slightly, but she couldn't find the words. Jiang Yao, like a little kitten, rubbed her Sophie cheeks against her mother's. She kissed her mother's cheek. We have to blow out the candles before eating cake. Then the little girl pulled a small bag from her pocket. Colorful candles. Daddy said Jiang Yao is like Doraemon, here to help Mommy and Daddy make their wishes come true. Xia Qingone lowered her eyes, sniffled softly. Mommy will make a wish. Seeing this, I placed the cake box on the bench. Inside was a small, cute cake shaped like her favorite rabbit's head. It looked a bit childish and strange. 2 bright red strawberries served as eyes, and a slice of carrot was the nose. Scribbled in cream on the cake was, Happy Birthday, Xia Qingone. It looked like Jiang Yao's handwriting. Xia Qingone couldn't take her eyes off the cake, her vision blurring. She stared at the cake without blinking, like a little girl who just received a brand new toy. A long time later, Xia Qingone finally asked slowly, so you know how to bake cakes too? I denied it immediately. Don't talk nonsense. I don't know how. I bought this at a shop. Am a guy. Where would I get the patience to bake a cake? Then why did you use a carrot for the rabbit's nose? Because I couldn't find anything else. You just said you bought it at a shop. Xia Qingone laughed. What shop would sell a cake this ugly? Suddenly, she really wished everything in front of her could be like a movie, slowed down frame by frame, so she could preserve every moment. Perhaps in the future, she would receive many more birthday cakes, but she would certainly never forget that on her 18th birthday, she received an incredibly ugly cake. I took the candles from Jiang Yao, helped her light them, and poked them into the cake. Under the dim streetlights, the candle flames flickered weakly, wavering as if they were about to go out. But it was enough to illuminate Jiang Yao and Xia Qingone sitting in front of them, and me standing right there. Xia Qingone suddenly felt a bit reluctant to cut it. She spoke softly, Jiang Haochen. Can I take a picture before making a wish? Of course I didn't refuse, letting her snap away. Finally, Xia Qingone used her camera to capture the image of this unrefined cake, and carefully saved it in her secret photo album. She suddenly realized that in such a short time, her gallery was already full of memories. Jiang Yao tugged her mother's arm. Mommy, make your wish quickly. If the candles go out, it won't count. Xia Qingone snapped back to reality, quickly closed her eyes, and prayed for something she never dared to think of before. I want to study hard to get into the university of my dreams, to live a life that truly belongs to me. I want to meet someone who loves me and find someone worthy of my love, to have a real home of my own. When she opened her eyes again, Jiang Yao had puffed out her cheeks and blew out the candles for her mother. She patted her chest. Phew, that was close. They were almost about to go out on their own. A smile tugged at the corners of Xia Qingwene's lips. She ruffled her daughter's hair. Too moved for words. Mommy, let Jiang Yao cut the cake. Okay, Jiang Yao, be careful not to cut the bunny's eyes. A few minutes later, the two of them sat on the bench eating cake, heads down. Since I'm not a fan of sweets, I took the carrot slice and sat to the side, munching on it while watching them. Suddenly, I asked casually,
what did you wish for just now? Tell me about it. Xia Qingone instinctively turned to look at me. If I say it, it won't come true. Do you really think you're a kindergartner? Then I let out a tired yawn and blurted out, if you don't say the wish out loud, how can I help you make it come true? Xia Qingone froze, unconsciously swallowing the piece of cake in her mouth. For some reason, the tips of her ears felt hot and her cheeks flushed a deep red. A moment later, she whispered back uncertainly, just now. What did you say? I also suddenly realized. Crunch. I took a bite of the carrot.
I said if you don't say it out loud, then how can this Doraemon who came from the future help you make it a reality? Xia Qingone let out a soft "oh," lowered her head, and quietly used her fork to cut a piece of cake and put it in her mouth. The sweet, creamy taste melted on her tongue. It seemed she didn't want to talk. I didn't press her further. I just sat back and watched Jiang Yao munching on her cake. After some time, her voice finally reached my ears. My wish is that for next year's birthday, I can still stand before a candle and make a wish just like now. After finally finishing the cake, Xia Qingone suddenly remembered something. By the way, Jiang Haochen, do you plan on dating in college? I was surprised. Why are you asking that? Xia Qingone bit her lip. You know Jiang Yao's appearance was an accident, but she really is our daughter. So until Jiang Yao is old enough to understand. I hope you don't find a girlfriend. I didn't say anything, just amusedly observing her expression. Xia Qingone didn't look away either, looking straight into my eyes. Of course, I'm not trying to stop you from dating. I just hope you'll try not to hurt Jiang Yao. I nodded. That's a very valid point. I can accept that perspective. But before Xia Qingone could breathe a sigh of relief, I suddenly changed my tone. But this puts me in a tough spot. Hearing this, Xia Qingone immediately glared at me. A tough spot? Are you planning to betray Jiang Yao? Seeing her reaction, I let out a soft chuckle. I'm fine either way. My mom has already given me strict orders. Once I'm in college, I must bring a girl home to meet her, to be the Jiang family's daughter-in-law. If I don't, I might not even be allowed home for New Year's. Xia Qingwene's breath hitched for a second. She felt something was off. But she couldn't find any flaws in what I said. She could only slowly look away and fall into a silent retreat. But I wasn't going to let her off that easily. Miss Chabelle, say something. Put me out with a solution. Xia Qingone was stifled with annoyance. After a long while, she spoke softly. Then, what should we do? Yeah, what should we do? Or maybe I said, scanning her from head to toe. My face was clearly full of schemes. Xia Qingwene's eyebrow twitched slightly. Maybe what? Finish your sentence. Ever since Jiang Yao appeared, this topic has always been very sensitive. But right now, it felt like something was about to be revealed. Xia Qingone suddenly felt a bit panicked. It took a few minutes before a playful voice rang out. Maybe I should just bring Chen Hao home. Anyway, my mom has always suspected the two of us of being a couple. Xia Qingwene's face immediately turned icy. She obviously knew who Chen Hao was, but when she turned to look, she caught my meaningful gaze. What were you thinking just now? Only then did Xia Qingone realize that I had been teasing her all along. Xia Qingone pouted, her stubbornness flaring up. A wave of petulance washed over her. I wasn't thinking anything just now. Oh, really? Then why is your face so red? It's just the cold wind. And not blushing at all. I nodded. I guess not. Must have misseen. Xia Qingwene's face suddenly darkened. How can someone in this world be so annoying? She bit her lip and took a deep breath. Jiang Yao, tell mommy the truth. Does future mommy often have thoughts of domestic violence? Seeing this, I immediately backed down, stepping back slowly. Why are you thinking about hitting someone? I was just joking with you. Xia Qingone walked alongside Jiang Yao, holding her hand. Her face was still tense with a serious expression. It didn't seem like she was truly angry. Just caught a bit off guard by my teasing. About 10 minutes later, at the entrance of the apartment complex, I held Jiang Yao's hand and waved. Don't see us out anymore. This is far enough. We're heading home now. Get some rest early. After saying that, I hesitated for a moment before continuing. Don't make Jiang Yao worry. If anything happens, just tell me. Xia Qingone nodded. Her mood really hadn't been great these past few days. She wasn't surprised that I noticed. Then, she leaned down and stroked Jiang Yao's head. Be good at home and listen to Daddy, Jiang Yao. Be happy every day, sweetheart. Jiang Yao nodded vigorously, but she still sniffled with reluctance. Mommy, will you come home to play with me tomorrow? Plus, Daddy will miss you so much too. In the past, no matter how busy Daddy was with work, he would pick Mommy up and bring her home every day. Hearing these words, Xia Qingone instinctively looked up. Meanwhile, my fingers typing on the phone clearly hesitated for a beat. However, I didn't say anything, acting as if nothing had happened. I continued replying to messages on WeChat. Jiang Dao's eyes gradually turned red. In good every day, so obedient, it's just.
I miss mommy so much. I miss you every day. Xia Qingone was heartbroken. She couldn't help but pinch her daughter's chubby cheeks. Jiang Yao, be good. Don't cry. I promise. Mommy will definitely come home tomorrow. It was 9 p.m. when we got home. I helped Jiang Yao get cleaned up and then put her to bed. She must have been tired because she fell into a deep sleep as soon as she hugged her pillow. Seeing this, I took my laptop and left the room. I planned to go online to find some work. After all, I couldn't just keep asking my mom for money every day.
Fortunately, I've been around computers since I was little, so helping those clueless college students was quite easy for me. 3 hours later, looking at the 1,000 yuan that had just been transferred to my account, I let out a satisfied smile. Nowadays, young wolf pup students like him are everywhere. With this kind of income, supporting Jiang Yao alone shouldn't be a big problem. Early the next morning, it took me a full half hour to finish getting my pouting daughter ready and cleaned up. By the time Jiang Yao finished her steamed rice rolls, Xia Qingone had just arrived. I raised an eyebrow in doubt. How were you able to come out today? My dad took my stepmother and stepsister back to their hometown. They won't be back until tomorrow. By the way, is there anything left in the fridge? I'll make something delicious for Jiang Yao for lunch. I thought for a moment. It seemed like there was nothing left in the house. We planned to go to the supermarket downstairs to buy some. I'll go with you. Let's take Jiang Yao too. Let's see what she likes to eat. 10 minutes later. Jiang Yao was skipping ahead happily. Daddy, Jiang Yao wants to eat potato chips. I gave her a doting smile and picked up a bag of potato chips to put in the cart, but Xia Qingone quickly snatched it away. She looked tense. Why are you buying this for her? I hesitated for a moment, but Jiang Yao likes them. You buy it just because she likes it? It's not good for kids to eat too many snacks. They can easily become obese. Plus, it's unhealthy. Having said that, Xia Qingone turned and put the bag of chips back on the shelf. Jiang Yao felt very slighted hearing that. But clearly, when mommy put on a serious face, she had a certain authority. So she pulled at my hem and started acting cute. Daddy, Jiang Yao wants them. Daddy is the best. As soon as she finished, Xia Qingone walked over and gently pinched her cheek. Jiang Yao, don't act like a spoiled brat with daddy. With that, she led Jiang Yao by the hand and walked ahead. Jiang Haochen, just carry the bags. Let me decide what to buy. I stayed silent, but my mind was in a fierce struggle. So, after 2.5 seconds, I decisively grabbed a few bags of chips and threw them into the cart. Seeing Xia Qingwone's cold glare, I raised an eyebrow. I'm buying them for myself. And not Jiang Yao, do you plan on controlling me too? You like potato chips too? I shook my head. I don't. Xia Qingone was so annoyed she laughed. She felt that I was being quite petty. It was as if I had some kind of obsession with the so-called family status, like I wanted to prove I was the head of the household. Thinking for a bit, Xia Qingone explained patiently. When you eat them, Jiang Yao will definitely crave them. And since you dote on her so much, you'll surely give in when she acts cute. Seeing her say that, I gave a wicked smile and nodded. It's fine, I'll eat them right in front of Jiang Yao later. You'll see if I share even a single bite with her. Hearing that, Jiang Yao pouted, thinking daddy was just as mean as mommy. Xia Qingone didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Why was this guy acting exactly like a child? But through their recent interactions, she had come to understand my personality. The typical type who responds to kindness but not force. Thinking of this, she took a deep breath and used the gentlest tone possible. Jiang Haochen, whatever you want to eat, I'll cook it all for you this lunch. Can you not buy the potato chips anymore, please? Hearing that, my mind went blank instantly. My face quickly turned bright red, too. Right after, I silently took all the chips out and put them back on the shelf. You actually have a point. After shopping and returning home, Xia Qingone skillfully tied her apron on. Let me cook. Go play with Jiang Yao for a bit. I figured she rarely visited, so I didn't argue. Unexpectedly, just as I sat down with Jiang Yao for a bit, the phone suddenly rang. The screen showed Lin Hui. I glanced at Xia Qingone in the kitchen and answered, Mom, if there's nothing important, I'm hanging up. That first sentence almost made Lin Hui lose her cool. You brat, what kind of talk is that? Get up quickly, I'm already downstairs. Hearing that, I froze instantly. Why didn't you tell me in advance? Lin Hui snorted. Do I need to report to you when I visit? We make dumplings today. I brought some over for you. So you don't have to eat takeout every day. It's not even a holiday today. And the family suddenly made dumplings. I guess she made them specifically as an excuse to visit me.
She probably wanted to use the weekend to visit the son she hadn't seen in a while. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but feel a bit touched. Maybe you should turn the car around now. There's still time. After hearing me, Lin Hui was stunned. You little brat, are you even speaking human language? No, it's just that I'm not at home. Save it, just open the door. I can hear the cartoons you're watching. I fell silent. I glanced at Jiang Yao on the sofa, then at Xia Qingone cooking in the kitchen. I felt like I was being caught red-handed, and while I was still in a daze, Lin Hui outside began knocking on the door. "Open the door already!" Hearing the noise, Xia Qingone came out, looking at me with some confusion. I spread my hands helplessly. "My mom is here." Hearing this, Xia Qingwane's expression finally changed. She looked down at her outfit. "So, what should we do now?" I answered honestly. "I don't know. Maybe just act natural. Say you're a classmate visiting." A few seconds later, Lin Hui walked in with a look of disdain, carrying a bag. "I've been waiting forever. Don't you know how to open the door for your old lady? Don't tell me you just woke up. What time is it? Were you up all night doing something shady?" My face instantly darkened upon hearing that. I didn't dare say anything else, quickly taking the bag of dumplings. Then I pushed Lin Hui's shoulders to turn her around. "All right, Mom, you should head back now. The dumplings look great." Lin Hui was actually a bit angry. "Hey, you rotten brat, now you won't even let me into your house." I couldn't do anything at this point. Lin Hui changed into slippers and walked into the living room, grumbling. "At your age, and you're still watching cartoons." But before she could finish her sentence, she suddenly froze in place. She saw Xia Qingwane standing there at the kitchen door. She was wiping her hands on her apron, looking a bit shy. "Hello, ma'am." Lin Hui was dazed. She couldn't seem to understand why a beautiful girl looking like a housewife was appearing in her son's house. Even if Chen Hao had walked out of the kitchen, it would have made more sense to her. Lin Hui's gaze instinctively flickered behind Xia Qingwane. On the table was a full spread of dishes, and the house was filled with a rich aroma. While on the sofa, a very cute little girl was lying down, giggling as she watched cartoons. Lin Hui was even more bewildered. Did I time travel? Why does this scene look like a family of three? Seeing this, I immediately interrupted. "Mom, she's greeting you." Lin Hui finally reacted and hurriedly said, "Hello, hello. But you two are." Xia Qingwane suddenly became a bit nervous. "I'm Jiang Haochen's classmate, and this is my younger sister. We're here visiting together." Lin Hui was skeptical, muttering to herself, "Classmate? What kind of classmate comes to this dog's den and even cooks for him?" Thinking for a moment, she looked at Xia Qingwane's delicate face, finally realizing, "Child, have I seen you somewhere before?" Standing nearby, I reminded her, "Oh, this is Xia Qingwane. Last time when you went to the parents' conference, you saw her at the school awards ceremony. At the time, you told me she was really beautiful, against a great figure. You talked about her all the way home." By now, Lin Hui completely remembered. She had seen her once from afar in the stands. "Is she the one who ranks 6th in the whole grade?" Xia Qingwane nodded shyly, her ears burning hot. Seeing this, Lin Hui secretly admired her. At the time, she thought if this girl were her daughter-in-law, the future grandkids would definitely be pretty and cute. But now, such a beautiful girl was in her house cooking for her son. Wait, could these two be dating? At that thought, her expression immediately darkened. The college entrance exams are only 4 months away. Why are they wasting time like this now? With that, her tone suddenly became very stern. "How can you be friends with a person like this? Even after the exam, don't look for someone of this caliber." I immediately frowned. "Mom, how can you talk about her like that?" To my surprise, Lin Hui glared at me, looking at me with total disdain. "Can you go look in the bathroom mirror for a second? Who's talking about her?" "I'm talking about you." My face was blacker than a burnt pot. Is this still my lovely and kind-hearted mother? Lin Hui turned back, advising sincerely. "Child, your grades are so good and you're so beautiful. You'll have a bright future. Right now, you must focus on your exams. Don't think about anything else. With your standards, you'll have no shortage of good boys. Absolutely do not let this rotten brat trick you." Xia Qingwane looked very embarrassed. Ma'am, Jiang Haochen is actually very good." Honestly, she had never met a mother like this. Clearly, her words weren't very pleasant, but Xia Qingwane could feel that the bond between the mother and son was truly strong. She was quite an adorable mother. "He doesn't bully you, does he? I mean, he hasn't made any improper moves on you, has he?" Xia Qingwane obediently shook her head. "No, not at all." Seeing this, I grumbled dissatisfaction. "We have a traitor among us. Why do you keep hating on me like this?" Lin Hui looked even more disgusted, giving a cold sneer. "Don't you remember all the trouble you caused in middle school? And you expect me to be nice to you?" I waved my hand. "Well, you're the one who gave birth to this rotten brat. Setting everything else aside, you have to take half the responsibility." Lin Hui didn't even bother with me anymore, smiling brightly at Xia Qingwane. "Child, I came to bring him dumplings. You two have some together for lunch." Then she looked at Jiang Yao. "What an adorable child, just as beautiful as your sister." Hearing the compliment, Jiang Yao peeked out from behind her mom. "Grandma is beautiful too." The smile on Lin Hui's lips remained. "Grandma." Xia Qingwane quickly hugged Jiang Yao to explain, She's a bit clingy. She likes to call beautiful ladies grandma." This sentence made Lin Hui's smile even broader.
However, her gaze still couldn't help but linger on Jiang Yao's face for a long time. She felt this little girl looked somewhat familiar, as if she had seen her somewhere before. I don't have anything else today, just dropping off food. Lin Hui turned back toward the door. You two have fun. I'm heading home. She felt that her staying there would make Xia Qingone a bit nervous, like a daughter-in-law meeting her mother-in-law for the first time. Hearing this, Xia Qingone felt it wasn't quite right, saying softly, "Ma'am, please stay and eat with us." After saying it, her face turned a little red. This invitation made it seem as if she were the lady of the house. Lin Hui quickly waved her hand. No, I already ate before coming here. At this point, Xia Qingone couldn't say much else. She rested her hands on her apron, looking incredibly virtuous. I glanced at her and suddenly saw how much she looked like the Xia Qingone in Jiang Yao's photograph. She was that gentle type of woman who at a glance makes people feel. She's a virtuous wife and a good mother. Then I pouted. You just got here, why are you leaving already? Coming all this way just to deliver dumplings. If you wanted to see me, just call and I'll come home immediately. Lin Hui responded nonchalantly. If you come home, it's only for one night and you're back at school on Monday. The commute is too tiring. I sighed helplessly. Then isn't it tiring for you to come here? Since when do you tell me what to do? Lin Hui wanted to say something more, but thought better of it, finding it too sentimental. Finally just snorted. With such a beautiful girl as your friend, you better appreciate your luck and don't you dare bully her. I couldn't bully her even if I tried, I said as I started putting on my shoes. I'll walk you downstairs. This time Lin Hui didn't refuse. Even though her son was grown up, he was still just a high schooler, and as a mother, she really had a few things to ask Xia Qingone. Qingone gripped the edge of her apron, saying softly, "Goodbye, ma'am." Jiang Yao also waved reluctantly. "Goodbye, Grandma." Grandma and Grandpa had always been wonderful to her. Sometimes when Mommy and Daddy were busy working, it was Grandma and Grandpa who watched her, taking her to school every single day. But back then, Grandma's hair had mostly turned gray. Now she looked so incredibly young and beautiful. "Goodbye, little one." Lin Hui smiled, not paying much mind to the way she was addressed. After that, I walked with Mom downstairs. Lin Hui frowned at me. "Is she really just a classmate? Is there really nothing else between you?" I nodded casually. "A classmate who comes to your house to cook for you. Then that girl." Lin Hui paused for a long time before continuing. "She must be quite the animal lover, but still, don't get fresh just because she's beautiful. I'm not kidding. Don't you dare affect her studies for the top universities. Understand?" I sighed as I walked with her out of the complex. "Mom, am I some kind of street thug or something? Since you're here, why not stay? I wasn't chasing you away. Why the rush?" Lin Hui opened the car door and said bluntly, "I'm not crazy. Your female classmate is visiting. You want me to stay and be a third wheel? You're not a kid anymore. You should know better what you should and shouldn't do. All right, I'm off." With that, she leisurely drove away. When I returned home, Xia Qingone was holding a spatula, stepping out of the kitchen once more. Her expression was still a bit worried. "Did your mom say anything?" I shook my head. "Nothing much." My phone buzzed with a message from Her Majesty. "Sent you 3,000 you," followed by a note. "Don't be stingy. Ask me if you need more." I generously showed the phone to Xia Qingone. "My mom just sent me some money." Xia Qingone leaned in for a closer look. "What does she mean by this?" I frowned in silence for a moment, then whispered, "Well, International Women's Day is coming up. She probably wants me to buy you a gift." Xia Qingone acted as if she hadn't heard that. Honestly, the meeting with Lin Hui earlier was far from what she had imagined. She wasn't arrogant at all, unlike a typical overbearing parent, which was the complete opposite of the strong-willed Zhao Ziqing. They were like two entirely different extremes. Therefore, Xia Qingone truly admired our relationship. However, though she knew she shouldn't think this way, Xia Qingone still couldn't stop a rather strange thought from popping into her head. Being her daughter-in-law would surely be a wonderful thing. Xia Qingone gently tucked her hair behind her ear, looking a bit flustered as she turned away. "Let's just eat first." To be honest, this beauty surnamed Xia really was a born perfect wife. With very simple ingredients, she made dishes that Jiang Yao ate with great gusto. After lunch, I took the initiative to wash the dishes. Xia Qingone played with Jiang Yao for a while, then took her into the room to coax her into a nap. By the time I stepped out of the kitchen, Xia Qingone was just carefully closing the bedroom door. She put a finger to her lips. "Shh. She's asleep. Let's speak quietly." But as soon as she said it, her face suddenly flushed. "Wait, why does it feel like a couple who just put their kid to bed, then sneak off to another room for some intimacy?" I didn't notice her awkwardness, and asked, "What are we doing this afternoon?" "Exam prep?" I brought my backpack. "Show me the practice exams you've done lately." With that, Xia Qingone sat at the clean table, taking things out of her bag. Seeing me still standing there, she couldn't help but tap the table with her pen. "Why are you just standing there in a daze? Hurry up, let's make use of the time." I took out my practice papers for her to check.
Xia Qingone examined them very thoroughly,
and by the time she finished, her expression had softened significantly. She could see that I had actually put in the effort. Though the English exam was still a mess, it was much better than before. Then she asked seriously, "Are there parts of these mistakes you don't understand? I can explain them to you." I leaned back lazily in my chair, nodding with great arrogance. I usually don't make the same mistake twice. Xia Qingwan was skeptical. "Why are your grades so bad?" My mom usually didn't manage me much. I'd go home and play games until midnight. Where would I find time to study? With that, I sat up and started flipping through the exams. "You really like games that much? It's okay, just to kill time." Xia Qingwan suddenly went silent, looking somewhat dazed. She suddenly remembered that day when I took my gear to sell the consoles and games. Those were probably things I really loved. I mimicked her and tapped the table hard. "So, are you going to teach me or not? If you want to stare at me, just do it. Don't use studying as an excuse." Xia Qingwan snapped out of her thoughts, frowning as she glared at me. "Who would want to stare at you?" I was just spaced out for a moment. "It's just that I've never seen anyone under 600 points. Who could be so arrogant?" I felt like I had just been looked down upon by her. Holding the pen, I muttered, "Just wait until the next monthly exam. I'll overtake you." Regarding my intentional omission of a few words, Xia Qingwan wasn't angry at all, finding it quite amusing instead. But I got 688. With that, Xia Qingwan couldn't help but smile, rarely teasing me with a joke, that I'll just wait for you to overtake me. Don't say it if you can't do it. Xia Qingwan paused for a beat, then emphasized every word. "You're a man, after all." Hearing that 688 figure, I immediately became well-behaved. After that, Xia Qingwan stopped teasing me and seriously began explaining the wrong answers to me. Even though she was a top student, she was extremely patient. And similarly, Xia Qingwan discovered that I really wasn't bragging. Not only was my comprehension incredibly good, but my memory was also remarkably good. By the time we snapped out of it, the clock on the wall already showed it was dusk. At this moment, Jiang Yao stepped out of the room, rubbing her eyes. Seeing Xia Qingwan packing her bag, she asked sleepily, "Mommy, where are you going?" Xia Qingwan pinched her cheek. "I have to go home. I can't stay and fight you and Daddy for the bed, can I?" Jiang Yao let out a slightly unhappy sound. "Oh, I thought you would sleep with me tonight. It would be so good if Daddy were here too. Please come visit me again soon, but if you leave now, it'll be a long, long time before I see you again." With that, Jiang Yao rushed over, burying her chubby face in her mother's lap. Besides, Jiang Yao likes being in Mommy's arms best. Xia Qingwan bit her lip. It was clear her heart had softened. The thought of sleeping while holding a soft, sweet-smelling Jiang Yao would surely be very pleasant. And just yesterday, she had promised Jiang Yao that she would stay and keep her company. My stepmother and stepsister aren't home this week. Once they're back later, there probably won't be another chance like this. I was busy on my phone, but I couldn't help but look up at Jiang Yao. "Be good now. Jiang Yao wants to sleep with Mommy. I'm a girl." Xia Qingwan hesitated for a moment. "Staying at your place like this isn't quite right, is it?" She didn't have to worry about me doing anything. I don't know why, but after spending some time together, she actually trusts me completely. I looked at her confused. I felt like her tone wasn't very firm. "It really isn't. Plus, I only have one bed. Hurry home now. If it gets any later, I'll have to walk you back. So tonight." Xia Qingwan bit her lip, looking at Jiang Yao in her arms. Jiang Yao, right on cue, pouting her little lips. "Mommy is the best, so tonight." Xia Qingwan paused for a moment, looked at me and said, "The living room is yours." My face went blank at that. We aren't even married yet, and I'm already being kicked to the living room with a blanket. How could I take such a slight? So I pouted and said, "What if you can't help yourself and try something naughty at night? My mom even warned you today not to get handsy with me." "Did your mom really say that?" Xia Qingwan looked at my 179 centimeters height. She found it ridiculous. Like I could ever overpower you. My face turned bright red immediately. It took me a while to squeeze out a reply. "Well, wouldn't Jiang Yao be there to help you? Jiang Yao and I together can overpower you," Xia Qingwan asked. I felt like she was being led astray by me. And Jiang Yao, seeing me about to ruin her plans, got all flustered too. Hurriedly shouted at me, "Daddy, don't bully Mommy." I fell silent at that. Actually, I didn't resist the idea too much. It's just that I felt Xia Qingwan seemed too unguarded around me. In any case, this wasn't a bad thing. After finishing dinner, I sat on the sofa playing on my phone. Occasionally, I looked up. Xia Qingwan was at the desk teaching Jiang Yao how to write. The cold and aloof campus belle in the eyes of others now had eyes overflowing with tenderness. "Jiang Yao, you haven't written this stroke correctly. Then Mommy, hold my hand and teach me." Looking at the two beauties, big and small with such similar faces, I really had the illusion of a warm home. Or rather, it wasn't exactly an illusion, because Jiang Yao truly shares my flesh and blood. And as for Xia Qingwen, from the moment Jiang Yao appeared, she and I,
had been bound by complex, inseparable ties. By 9 p.m., Jiang Yao finally started getting sleepy. She squinted her eyes and yawned repeatedly, like a sleepy little kitten. Xia Qingone led Jiang Yao to the bathroom to wash up. Then she carried her into the bedroom. You could see that Jiang Yao was extremely happy, not just because mommy was willing to spend more time with her, but more importantly, this house had both daddy and mommy at the same time. To her, a home with both parents was a complete family. A few minutes later, Xia Qingone sat cross-legged on the bed. Jiang Yao curled up in her lap, sleepily pouting, "Mommy, you used to tell me every day stories about when you were with daddy. Why won't you tell me today?" Xia Qingone gently replied,
"Because those things haven't happened yet. Then when will they happen?" Xia Qingone pinched her daughter's cheek, remaining silent. It took another half hour for Jiang Yao to drift into a deep sleep. Even in her dreams, a sweet smile remained on her face. She held onto her mother's arm tightly, as if holding a priceless treasure. Xia Qingone carefully pulled her arm away and walked to the bedroom door. She spoke up. "Jiang Haochen, Jiang Yao, and I are going to sleep. You should get some rest early too." I looked up from my phone and replied, "Remember to lock the door. That way if you open it in the middle of the night, I'll hear you." Hearing this, Xia Qingone pouted crossly. She didn't even bother replying. She locked the door and went back to bed. In the darkness, Xia Qingone felt her daughter's warm, soft body holding her tight, her little mouth murmuring, "Mommy." Meanwhile, out in the living room, there were occasional very faint footsteps, but it was clear the person was walking softly on purpose. These tiny sounds actually gave Xia Qingone a strange sense of security, so she quickly drifted off to sleep. By the time she woke up again, it was the middle of the night. Xia Qingone felt her throat burning with thirst. She carefully moved Jiang Yao's hand aside and got up to go to the kitchen for some water. But to her surprise, I wasn't asleep yet. Instead, I was at the dining table, typing away on a keyboard. Hearing a sound, I turned and saw Xia Qingone standing there, looking dazed. I gave her a knowing smile. "Maybe you should go back inside and wait a bit longer?" Hearing this, Xia Qingone woke up a little more. "I'm just out here to get some water." I didn't tease her any further. I just nodded and said, "There's warm water in the thermos. Help yourself." A few minutes later, Xia Qingone finished drinking and came over. She asked curiously, "Why aren't you in bed yet?" As she spoke, she leaned in to look at the computer screen. It was a black interface, with dense lines of code looking incredibly complex, not like something a high schooler at this age would be able to do. I didn't explain anything, just kept typing rapidly, my face showing a bit of fatigue. Xia Qingone realized, "Are you working?" I replied lazily, "Not exactly. Just some simple freelance stuff. It's easy and pays fast. Jiang Yao starting school soon will be expensive." Xia Qingone was stunned. The light from the computer screen reflected in her eyes, making them sting slightly. She looked a bit dazed. This was the first time she felt that the vast distance between two dimensions had truly vanished. Even though my face looked much younger, in that brief moment, she felt like I really resembled the middle-aged man in Jiang Yao's photo, to some degree. After snapping out of it, she immediately reached out and pressed down on my keyboard. "It's late. Go to sleep now." I smiled at her action. "In a bit, you go first." Xia Qingone pursed her lips. "Jiang Yao is my daughter too. When she starts school, I'll help carry the burden of supporting the family. Whatever I owe you then, I'll definitely pay you back in full." I was slightly taken aback by that. Isn't supporting the family just about Jiang Yao? Do you mean you're going to support me too? I checked the time and realized it really was late. I turned off the computer, stood up and said, "All right, let's get some sleep. But hey, great beauty Xia, you better earn a lot of money. Jiang Yao already told me I'm going to be very expensive in the future. I'm afraid you won't be able to afford me." "Who said anything about supporting you?" As Xia Qingone spoke, she suddenly realized her words were a bit problematic. She hurriedly tried to take them back, but after a long silence, she only managed to squeeze out, "Then you better learn more skills, like singing or dancing, otherwise I'm getting a bad deal." I burst out laughing. Nice dream, but I only sell my looks, not my skills. Xia Qingone had no comeback for that. She hurriedly slipped back into the bedroom. I didn't mind. I washed up and lay down on the sofa to rest. Inside the room, Xia Qingone held the soft little Jiang Yao. In the land of dreams, suddenly, a knocking sound reached her ears. "Daddy bought breakfast for you too. Hurry and wake Jiang Yao up. Didn't you say your family is coming back today? You should head back early, right?" Xia Qingone didn't want to move at all, let alone reply. She hadn't slept very well after returning to the room. She only managed to catch some shut-eye near dawn. But after about 30 seconds, the knocking continued. Even Jiang Yao in her arms couldn't take it anymore. "Mommy, hurry and open the door. It's so noisy, too noisy. Xia Qingone was also extremely irritated. Half awake and half asleep, a surge of irritation flared up. She coldly and quickly sat up in bed. After shooting me a look, she silently turned back around and dove under the covers. I was left stunned. No way, she's a grown girl. But how is she exactly like Jiang Yao in the morning? But this early in the morning, I didn't feel like dealing with her attitude. After a moment of silence, I went to the bedside and scooped Jiang Yao up. Good girl, time to wake up. Jiang Yao frowned. She pouted and murmured, Daddy, you're so annoying. Anyone not up by now is just a lazy person. A total waste of time. Of course, I wasn't saying this to Jiang Yao. As for who I was hinting at, the girl buried under the covers would surely get the hint. Xia Qingone stayed under the covers for a bit, but she really couldn't take it anymore. She threw off the covers and sat up. Taking 2 deep breaths, she called out, Jiang Haochen. No wonder Jiang Yao gets mad at you every morning. You really are quite obnoxious. I replied a bit helplessly. Jiang Yao is at a growing age. How can she skip breakfast? It's not like I enjoy getting up early every day to buy food. Xia Qingone truly couldn't find a way to argue with that. She could only get up and take Jiang Yao to the bathroom to wash up. As mother and daughter stood side by side in the mirror, they were as quiet as before. It wasn't until she brought her daughter to the dining table and saw the still warm milk and corn that Xia Qingone suddenly realized the situation. She suddenly felt a bit guilty. I looked at her with a half smile. Don't act like nothing happened. You just snapped at me, and that made me unhappy. Xia Qingwone's ears burned. She lowered her eyes and whispered, I am sorry. I was half asleep when I woke up and didn't realize it was you. I pouted and said, forget it. So you know how to play the flip-flop game too. How about this? Xia Qingone licked her slightly dry lips. Next time I wake up, just ignore me. Or you can just snap back at me. You actually want there to be a next time. I almost burst out laughing from annoyance. I told you, you and your daughter are cut from the same cloth. Am I some kind of puppy to you? Do I have to take a kick from you two every morning? Xia Qingone felt extremely guilty. She really was in the wrong this time. She had clearly made a pinky promise to Jiang Yao yesterday. But as a mother, she was the one who couldn't follow through. Thinking of this, Xia Qingone finally made up her mind and said tentatively, how about? You punish me the way you punished Jiang Yao this morning. Just pinch my cheek once. I promise I won't resist at all. Can we stop being mad at each other? This last sentence from Xia Qingone carried a hint of a pout. Seeing this, my brain completely stalled. Was this still the cold campus belle I knew? Actually using such a soft voice and such a flattering tone to talk to me? Was she treating me like Jiang Yao to coax me? I sat there in silence for a while. Only after a long time did I push the 2 cups of freshly made oatmeal milk over. I made this for you too. Drink up. After finishing breakfast, Xia Qingone put on her backpack and headed home. To her, this weekend had truly been productive. She had spent time with Jiang Yao and monitored my current academic progress. Once her family returned, she might not have this kind of freedom anymore. And throughout the following week, I decided to bury myself in my studies. After all, there wasn't much time left until the college entrance exam. It wasn't that I wanted to get a top-tier score, but ever since Jiang Yao appeared, everything about the future had truly changed, including the college choices for me and Xia Qingone. So I hoped that when it came time to choose a university, my low grades wouldn't negatively affect her choices. This was perhaps a small matter of a man's self-esteem. That afternoon, Li Yuyu had just returned with her lunch and saw me sitting in the corner eating and reading a book. She couldn't help but exclaim, did something set you off lately? Before, you wouldn't study even if forced. Why are you suddenly starting to study English? I replied casually, isn't it because I'm in my rebellious phase? I just feel like studying English. When the teacher thinks I'm a hopeless case, studying then feels much more interesting. Li Yuyu rolled her eyes. Then she pulled out a small notebook and mimicked my posture. Yuyu, I've actually always wanted to ask you something. Back during the track selection, why didn't you choose the social sciences track? Li Yuyu said nothing. She just silently bowed her head to eat while reading. She knew very well that her reflexes in every aspect were a bit slow. If she had taken math, physics, and chemistry, she would have been torturing both herself and the teachers. Right then, Chen Hao's voice suddenly rang out. Why are you two hiding out here to eat? Took a glance and said nothing, because there was a girl standing right behind him. She had big, round eyes and looked very lively and cute. Chen Hao smiled at her and said, go look for them over there. I'm eating with my friends. The girl blinked and suggested eating together. Li Yuyu looked up at her briefly and quickly lowered her head again, as if everything happening had nothing to do with her. Right then, I spoke up. I know you. Chen Hao has been mentioning you to me every day lately. But hearing my words, Chen Hao was clearly a bit confused. The girl looked visibly surprised. Immediately after, the smile on her face grew even brighter. Really? Hao and I are actually just normal good friends? We met while he was playing basketball downstairs. I smiled and nodded, then continued. He said you're a very cute girl. Student Lin. Hearing this, the girl froze. My surname is... I'm Xu Qiangone. I'm in grade... The atmosphere suddenly became awkward. I was silent for a bit and then said, I must have mistaken you for someone else. Chen Hao has seemingly never mentioned you. Li Yo-Yo, who was eating a boiled egg, almost choked to death upon hearing. She wanted to laugh but didn't dare. She could only her head to stifle her laughter, her face turning red. Finally, the girl had no face left to stay. She carried her tray off to find her own classmates. I looked at Chen Hao casually. Stop leading people on like that. Chen Hao leaned back leisurely in his chair. Why do you say I am leading them on? I just went to that class to find some guys to play basketball. She's the one who ran over to ask for my WeChat. You look like you were enjoying it quite a bit, though. Hearing this, Li Yu immediately mocked him. Then stop loitering in front of us. With the way you change girls every 2 weeks like changing clothes. It might be free, but we don't have time to remember all those faces. Chen Hao pouted. Since we were kids. Only you've dared to speak to me in that tone. But since you're so fierce, how are you ever going to get married when you grow up? Don't end up being 30 and still unwanted, crying yourself to sleep alone at home. You didn't even bother replying to him. She turned away and started cleaning up the table. She seemed truly a bit upset. Seeing this, Chen Hao scratched his head. I was just teasing you. Are you mad again? Li Yu remained expressionless. No, my temper really isn't good, and my looks aren't all that. What you said wasn't wrong at all. Chen Hao was stunned for a moment. I only said it's hard for you to marry because you're too fierce. I never said your looks weren't all that. Tell you what, if you're 30 and still single as a Pringle, I'll reluctantly take you off the market. Li Yu looked up. She said disdainfully, even if at 30, you still haven't tricked some wife with that face, I would absolutely never consider a jerk like you. With that, she picked up her tray and left immediately. And when I heard that, my hand trembled slightly. Hey, don't say it so definitely. That's a huge flag you just planted there. But thinking back, I realized, based on our daughter's age, Xia Qingone and I didn't get married until after 30 either. But based on what Jiang Yao said, Xia Qingone and I must have gone through a lot to finally be together. But the two of us originally had no connection. How could we fall in love after graduating college and head towards marriage? At that thought, I pulled out my phone and sent a text to the great beauty Xia. Qingwane, let me ask you something. Perhaps seeing that my tone was somewhat serious, Qingwane replied very quickly. But she also seemed not to understand what I meant, so she just sent back a single question mark. I continued typing on the screen. Text sent. Back then, who chased who? Do you know? Qingwane was stunned. She froze for a long time before texting back. By back then, I guess you mean the future? How should I know? You have to ask Jiang Yao that. I recalled everything Jiang Yao had said over the past few days. I finally reached a conclusion. Jiang Yao says you're always fighting her for daddy. It seems that you must have chased me like crazy back then. That's why you end up being jealous of your own daughter. The sharp reasoning left Xia Qingone silent for a while. Then she texted back. Jiang Yao also said I make you kneel on a washboard. You just obediently kneel on that washboard. Why couldn't it be that you chased me? Xia Qingone understood her own personality very well. If it wasn't someone she truly liked, no amount of chasing would ever work. Therefore, she didn't think she'd be like those young girls, chasing after someone like crazy. Of course, I thought so too. So I decided to go home and get the truth from Jiang Yao. In the end, both of us sent the exact same message at the same time, into the chat box. Anyway, it definitely wasn't me. So when I got home that evening, I immediately asked Jiang Yao about it. To my surprise, Jiang Yao said with a proud look, when Mommy was still in school, there were so many boys who liked her, but Mommy didn't pay any attention to any of them, not until she met Daddy after graduation. At this point, I had turned on the speakerphone. Xia Qingwane on the other end was also silently waiting for her daughter's next answer. Mommy said Daddy liked her first. Daddy had to chase her for a long time before she agreed. As she spoke, Jiang Yao bit her finger as if reminiscing. But Daddy said that on the day you two became a couple, it was Mommy who took the initiative to confess first. And she even stood on her tiptoes to kiss Daddy. Hearing this, both Xia Qingwane and I fell silent. It seemed that even Jiang Yao didn't know the exact answer. So, was this a romance between two tsunderes? Xia Qingwane hesitated for a moment and decided to strike first. She just gave a cold laugh and said, I didn't think you'd be so persistent. You certainly have patience, don't you? I immediately countered, it's nothing special. On your confession day, you even had to stand on tiptoes to kiss me. That must have been quite a struggle for you. These words left Xia Qingwane a bit embarrassed. She really found it hard to imagine that with her personality, she would ever do something so proactive. But according to what Jiang Yao said, plus the height difference between us, if I didn't lower my head, she really would have to stand on her tiptoes. As for me, I was also a bit bothered. I didn't think I'd have to chase her for so long to get a yes, Jiang Yao. Are you sure about that? Do I look like a wolf being smacked away by a frying pan? Of course, I didn't think Jiang Yao was lying. Perhaps both of us just don't know yet what we would look like when we're truly and deeply in love with someone. In the time that followed, although we called each other every day, our opportunities to meet in person decreased significantly, partly due to busy studies, and partly because Xia Qingone had to keep an eye on her family. Until one day near the end of March, I suddenly felt a sharp, intense pain in my abdomen. My whole body felt sluggish and dizzy. I was in a terrible state, scared to the point that Shen Hao and Li Yu immediately rushed me to the hospital. But what I didn't expect was, after looking at my x-ray, the doctor suddenly sighed. Being so young, what a pity. Let's just cut it off. Hearing that, my whole body froze. A bunch of question marks appeared above my head. Only then did the doctor slowly smile and say, "Young man, don't worry. It's just acute appendicitis. Removing it will be fine." After hearing that, I immediately rolled my eyes. In my heart, I couldn't stop cursing him. But luckily, we came in just in time. It's not a major issue. The surgery will only take about an hour, plus a few days of rest. Watch your diet a bit and you'll basically be fine. Only then did Li Yu breathe a sigh of relief. You really scared me to death just now. I'll go pay the fees first. Shen Hao called Jiang Haochen's aunt. As for when Xia Qingone found out about this, it was already the next day, thinking it wasn't a big deal. I hadn't told her. It was Jiang Yao. She sobbed on the phone, telling her that daddy had fallen ill. Because Jiang Yao kept sobbing and couldn't speak clearly, Xia Qingwone's heart instantly tightened as well. It felt like even breathing became difficult, because she had gone through her mother's tragedy. She was extremely sensitive to hospitals and illnesses. After asking which hospital it was, she rushed there in a taxi right after school. In the simple hospital room, Jiang Yao was lying beside the bed, gripping my hand tightly. Her voice was hoarse from crying. I gently pinched her cheek. "Be a good girl, Jiang Yao. Don't cry anymore. Daddy is okay." At that moment, Jiang Lingling came in from outside carrying a basin of water. Hearing Jiang Yao's cries, she also started sobbing. "Jiang Haochen, it breaks my heart to see you like this. You've never been this sick since you were little. How did things suddenly get to this point? You're the only grandson in our family." I was silent for a moment. Then I spoke up, "Auntie, I only had my appendix removed. It's not like I got sterilized." To my surprise, Jiang Lingling cried even harder. An incision on the belly. Just the thought of it is agonizing. The needle must have been so long. Just then, Xia Qingone hurriedly pushed open the door and entered, seeing two beauties, one big and one small, by my bed, weeping so pitifully. Xia Qingone panicked. "Jiang Haochen, what happened to you? You were clearly fine just last week." I looked at her in slight surprise. "It's just appendicitis. This little girl gets scared easily. She thought something happened to me." Xia Qingone breathed a sigh of relief, but she still worriedly bit her lip. "Then what about her?" I smiled softly. "She's just a girl too." Seeing that Xia Qingone still didn't believe me, I had to take out the x-ray and show it to her. After examining it very carefully, Xia Qingone finally managed to relax. It took a while longer before I could comfort her and Jiang Yao to stop crying and make them believe that my body was perfectly fine. Then I pinched my daughter's ear. "Jiang Yao, stay at Auntie's for the next 2 days, okay? Daddy is really okay. If Jiang Yao keeps crying, Daddy will be very sad too." Then I looked at my aunt. "Auntie, you're pregnant, so please take Jiang Yao home to rest first." Xia Qingone glanced at the darkness outside, and then looked at the many missed calls on her phone. Before coming here, she had only told her father and stepmother one thing, that she was going to the hospital to visit a classmate. After thinking for a moment, Xia Qingone texted her father, "They'll stay here tonight to look after my friend." After sending it, she locked the screen and put her phone in her bag. Then, she looked at the hesitating Jiang Lingling. "Ms. Jiang, please take Jiang Yao home. They'll stay here to watch over him." Jiang Lingling was stunned for a moment. She asked hesitantly, "Is that okay, dear?" Xia Qingone nodded. "It's fine. With me here, Jiang Yao will surely feel at ease." Hearing that, Jiang Yao nodded. She gave a small yes. Her eyes were still red. As for me, I glanced at Xia Qingone. I didn't say anything more. After Jiang Lingling took Jiang Yao home to rest, I looked at the clock. It was already 9:30, so I spoke up. "Xia Qingone, you should go home too. Your school tomorrow. Text me when you get home." But Xia Qingone didn't pay any attention to my words. She took off her coat and placed it on the visitor's chair next to the bed. She prepared to get some hot water. Seeing that she really intended to stay, I couldn't help but frown. "Didn't you say your family has been very strict lately? What if your stepmother and sister give you trouble later? I really don't have a major problem. I'll be fine after a few days of rest." Xia Qingwone's movements finally halted. She turned her head. Looking at me, she said gloomily, "When I was 7 years old, My mom said the exact same thing to me before she left. Hearing that, I was stunned. My throat tightened slightly, but I didn't know what to say. Xia Qingone continued. That night, Mom told me to go home. She said that once I woke up from a sleep, she would be healthy again. That everything would be okay. That's why she always had a lingering fear of hospitals. After all, when she was a child, she had to stay in the hospital with her mother for years. These are things only those who have lived through them can understand. My heart also felt a bit heavy. I didn't want her to have to relive those painful memories from the past anymore. I quickly changed the subject. Didn't you say before that your family doesn't allow you to hang out with boys before graduation? I sat up, trying to force a smile, but I agitated the wound on my belly so it still stung. By then, what if your stepmother goes to school and reports me for puppy love? Then just tell them that I'm the one chasing you. After all, you've always thought that anyway. As she spoke, Xia Qingone also smiled. Until you were fully recovered and not going anywhere. Having said that, Xia Qingone didn't give me a chance to refuse. She turned and went straight to the restroom to fetch hot water. But what she didn't expect was, just as she stepped out into the hallway, her father, Xia Qingone, called, "Qingone, where are you now? Dad will come pick you up and take you home." Xia Qingone hesitated for a long time before replying, "I'm at the hospital. My classmate is sick, since he helped me out a lot before. I want to stay and look after him for a bit. Is it that boy from last time?" Xia Qingone remained silent. Seeing this, Xia Qingone patiently advised, "But this isn't something a student should be doing. He has his own family. There will be people to take care of him. You are just a high school student right now. The most important thing is..." Xia Qingone interrupted, "Is it studying? But Dad, there are only a few months left until I graduate. By then, what will truly be the most important thing to me?" Hearing that, Xia Qingone didn't know what else to say. Xia Qingone gripped her phone tightly. She continued softly, "Dad, don't worry too much about certain things. It's just that I don't know how to tell you. Since I was little, Xia Qingone had actually always hoped that whenever her father made a choice, he could favor her just for once. But since he brought Auntie Xiao to live together with them till Xia Qingone was born, and even until now, that has never happened. That's why, regarding Jiang Yao, Xia Qingone had never told him. She didn't even know how to begin the conversation. Half an hour later, the call finally came to an end. Xia Qingone didn't know what else to say to his daughter. Every time he opened his mouth, it was always the same few words like, "At this age, you should focus all your mind on your studies." Both of them sadly realized that, without knowing when it started.